Friends, fans, and fine folk, grab your drinks and snacks and come on down to the campfire for this short rest. With me and my friend, Candace the Magnificent! Hello!
Hi!
How are you?
I'm very happy to be here. How are
I'm
you?
very happy to have you here as well. I'm very well, thank you. I'm very well. I am. I'm excited to have you here for a second attempt at the short rest. For people who aren't following me on Twitch, you won't know, but I already scheduled this once and then slept through it because it was the day. It was like the same week that I got back from several different time zones worth of travel and ended up having terrible jet lag. And then I woke up at like an hour into when it was meant to be. And I was like, oh, I think I've fucked up. So I really appreciate your graciousness in accepting.
Of course, I just got through a really fucked up travel experience. So I'd like to think that I paid travel karma, and travel karma rerouted me to a plane that was not delayed or canceled. The day after I was canceled, though.
Candace, in case people don't know who you are, why don't you give us a brief introduction?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Candace. You may have heard of me as Candace the Magnificent. My actual name is Candace McAfee. I'm starting to go by that slightly more because of voice acting. I'm a voice actor and TTRPG performer and writer. I am also sort of a copywriter still, maybe. I don't know. But my pronouns are they, she, and a little sprinkle of he. And I'm in the space doing TTRPGs, telling weirdo made-up stories with my friends.
And you're doing a great job of it as well.
Thank you.
You're going to help me to DM for a second here, because when we start a short rest, if we're having a short rest, it sort of implies that we're in the middle of some sort of a quest that we needed to take a rest from. So what is it that we're doing, and where are we resting, and what are we eating and drinking on this rest?
I think we're having a charcuterie board with some really delicious cheeses and fresh berries that were gathered
Nice.
on our travel. I think that we are in the outer sanctum of a fancy and ancient library.
Oh, I love that.
And I think that we're exhausted because we just had to best the lich who was wreaking havoc, sucking all the information out of the books. And we needed to make sure that it was there for everyone else to still enjoy.
I feel like there's some sort of a play on words with the lich and the library and the libra of the books.
Yes.
And something, a lichbrary.
Yes.
A lich that sucks, that instead of a phylactery of human souls, it's a book. Like he destroys.
It's knowledge.
He takes books and then destroys them so that the knowledge of that particular book is not existing in the world anymore. And he takes that and subsists on that. And we realized that things were disappearing. Man, that's a
shittiest lich.
Top of your head.
Yeah.
Shittiest lich. But also, like you live in a world where things start to get. Just people start to forget facts about history, and people start to forget information about the world, and suddenly somebody just forgets the name of that animal, and they're like, "What is that? Surely there's a name for that animal. Has nobody ever named that animal before?" And then you start to realize, "Oh, we're losing information. Why can't we remember this stuff?" And you got to find this lich that's sucking information. So we've just bested this guy. We're set up in the outer sanctums of this ancient library, and we're eating a charcuterie board.
Yes.
was the stuff for the charcuterie board in the library, or did we bring it with us when we're traveling?
I mean, I would have preferred to have brought it with us. I don't think I've ever made a D&D character that would be chill with eating ancient charcuterie that I randomly found inside of a lichbrary.
Do you have like a go-to food and drink for characters that you make in D&D, or does it all depend on the character that you're playing?
It all depends on the character. Almost all of my characters love mead and ambrosia, though, because that's just a me thing. Yeah. I'm real slutty about mead, so if there's mead, then I
tend to create characters that like a fruity drink for some reason. Like I don't know, it's just because sometimes I just get bored of because I'm the DM and I'm NPCing so many times of like I'm always drinking ale and mead when I'm an NPC.
All ale
but
all the time.
but but if I'm a player, I'm like, oh, I'll order something that's got like a something that if it was modern day, it would have an umbrella stuck into it. That kind of a drink.
Yeah,
Walk up to
that's
the bar,
fantastic.
especially if you're playing like a little gnome. Hop up to the bar.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Well, what's the sweetest drink that you've got? What can you put together?
Especially if it's like a really dingy divey bar where you just
Yeah.
you walk in, the DM describes like some rough and tumble guy getting thrown through the window,
And you're like, right, let's see what the fruitiest drink they've got is.
They're like, we've got a fisherman's wharf. It's got sea berries and a hint of fishiness, if that's what you're into. There's like a
Lovely.
fishtail
Let's
sticking
give
out
a
of it.
go.
It's as big as you.
I do find a strange interest in describing weird foods and drinks in D&D, and I say weird because I'm not at all culinary inclined in the real. I'm one of these that would like I'd eat a nutrient paste if I could. Just
Oh
'cause
no.
I'm like I enjoy food, but I hate the process of making it. I hate how long
Mm-hmm.
it takes to like you have to think about what you're gonna have. You have to go shopping and get the stuff. You then have to prepare the stuff. Then you have to eat it, and then you have to clean up after yourself. I'm just like, if I had a personal chef, I'd love eating actual decent food. But for myself,
Yeah.
I'm like, an up and go or a whatever, a muesli bar or something. So I find it strange that in D&D I'm like, oh, let's describe this amazing. I suppose because I don't have to prepare it, I just have to invent it in my head, and then I can.
That's it.
I suppose that if I had a Star Trek replicator, I'm sure I'd be eating all sorts of crazy, wonderful things because I'd just be able
my
to come
God.
up with whatever I wanted, and it would be there.
Yeah, I'd be ridiculous with a Star Trek replicator. I'd be unstoppable. I'd take over the world. I could do anything I wanted. I'd impress people all the time. But yeah, no, I feel like describing things, but specifically food in role playing games, it feels like speaking like the visuals that you get in a Ghibli movie. Like Studio
Right,
Ghibli is like
yes.
so good at showing how
Yeah.
delicious and yummy their food is, and I feel like that's the feeling. That's the same vibe I get when I'm describing food to my players.
Nice.
When I'm
yeah.
like talking about like it's delectable and succulent, and
And you can
you
see
see the
you can see them like
it's
lighting
glistening.
up,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
following along, being like mouth watering.
Yeah. Yeah.
I watched
That's really good.
a video from an animator that was talking about why Ghibli is so good for food the other day, and it
I
was,
just watched that
you
video.
watched that? There we go. Yeah, our algorithms are like, these nerds will want something like this. Yeah, about the different contact points and how they're really
Yeah.
they're really close about their like you sometimes watch animation where somebody's like idle moving animation is not looking quite right because the feet are sliding across the ground,
Right.
and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
it was a good video of like, oh, that
Very
does make
good.
sense because I have always admired the food in the movie, and everybody talks about Ghibli movie food, and I was like, I don't know why it is that they do it so well, but
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons this animator says that they're focused on that stuff.
Definitely, like being able to see someone's teeth sink in. Another thing that kind of brings to mind. So I collect toys, obviously. I collect toys, and yeah, like a normal person. And my partner got me into Kodabukaya. Kodabukaya has these like really fantastic full body like figures that are vinyl toys. They're all femme characters or characters that are masculine that are the femme version of them. So there's like a Lady Deadpool, there's like a Psylocke that I have that's awesome. So one of the things that I love about these toys, and like it's whatever, it's not an otaku toy. I'm not a creep, guys. I like what I like. But these toys have like all of the femmes that are like wearing these like cute and revealing outfits. The outfits cut in to like their shape, and there's like a little round pad of flesh like in the cut of their bodysuit or in the cut of like their like little thigh bands or something to show that like there's weight there and to symbolize like cushion. And like I love that because it gives you such a better understanding of like the space that this person is taking up if they were real, rather than someone who's just going to give me like a little, here's a leg and then there's two lines on it and those are the thigh bands. Like this is like it's taking up space and there's texture to it. I don't know, it looks so good. I love looking at stuff like that gives you that feeling.
That's an artist that can go into the detail of like there's a figure beneath this, and I've thought about the
Yes.
figure beneath it, and not just
Yeah.
the outline of the outfit or the outline, even just the outline of the skin, but people who go like, oh, I've thought about what the musculature is underneath this,
Yes.
and where the layers of fat are, and where the this and that and the other, and the striations that occur in a natural body.
Yeah.
I find that fascinating when it's sculpted as well. Like I was in where was it recently? I was in I was in somewhere in the UK. Can't remember. It was a cathedral of some kind, and there was a statue, and I realized it was carved out of marble, and it was flowing fabric. That was this guy. It was a guy sitting in a throne, sort of a thing, and his flowing fabric went down the leg and down onto the ground, and I was like, oh, that's a guy wearing a robe, and then I thought, no, wait, that's all marble. That his robe is marble, everything is, and I went right up to it, and I was looking so closely at like the creases of the fabric and how it's flowing and folding over itself.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is all stone, but it looks like if I reached out and brushed it, it would be silk.
Yeah.
It's incredible stuff. The fact when somebody makes marble look like it's translucent, like it looks like it's gossamer or something, and you can like see the texture of the thing beneath the silk.
Yeah, it's magic.
Yeah, incredible stuff. The way that people can really go all out on that. And I think about that when I'm doing D&D world building. I'm like, if a human can do that, imagine an elf who like dedicates a 700-year lifespan to being an expert at their craft. And this is why they talk about elven this and dwarven that, because they've got hundreds of years of like dedication to whatever they do.
Right.
I called one of my partners over while we were in this cathedral, and I was like, hey, look at this, and I showed like the gold trim that was on this this cathedral's, like it was just like a random wooden panel on one of the side frames. And I was like, I think that this is the difference between like elven, dwarven, human here, because like in a human one, you look back from this and it looks magnificent and opulent, and like it's overwhelming and intimidating, the way that cathedrals are meant to be, to make people feel like they're smaller than the gods and whatnot.
Right.
But once you get close, you can see that the gold paint it's like flicking a little bit, and it's got like little cracks in it, and if you look really close, it hasn't actually been like perfectly straight lined, because whenever they painted it. And I was like, this is the difference I'd say between like the humans and the elves. The humans are like, do it so that it looks amazing from a distance, but then you look close and you find the flaws. And then the elves,
but elves are like,
you look close and there's like, no matter
finery.
how close you look, there is no flaw to it.
Yeah.
And then I said the same about like one of the stone pillars that was nearby, and I said, and then the dwarves would let this start to flake, but they'd never let this the striations of this pillar, they'd never let that start to chip.
Right. Because it's all about
that.
Like structural integrity, right? And making sure that all of your supports are in place and your beams are in place. Yeah, I think that's a really kind of apt like thing to notice, because I feel like what in the world to a creature that lives for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, like what is patience for a creature like that, right? For a human, like our time is easily measurable, right? We really don't have a lot of time. Like we think we do, but we don't really have a lot of time. Like when you sink 120 hours into a video game, right? And you think about like how many days that is, and then you think about how many days you have in your year, and you've just nixed those days from your life doing that thing, right? Like you get a very different perspective and have a very different understanding of how you're spending your time than somebody who like, for whom, a year and 600 years are like, like patience is, must look so different to a character or a creature like that. And like when I make characters, that's part of what I think about too. Like when I try to like imagine the kind of characters that I make, people ask me a lot about the character design that I do for like my role play to characters. And like that's something that's really important to me, even if I'm only in a one shot. Like I always try to think about like the layers beneath who this person is, like who everyone's gonna meet, sure, that's important, but like what's just under the surface, and then what's beneath that, right? Like what's at the heart of that character. Because I feel like those little moments of, okay, well, my character is 400 years old, am I gonna be snippy with this person in a tavern? Am I really gonna pick this fight? Or am I going to trust the process and know that this person's mouth is going to catch up with him sooner than I will? Right. Like that very much helps me dive into the character, and like what I'm going to do is like using the box that I've set for myself, right? By saying like I'm claiming to be a dwarf. Okay, well, a dwarf is not going to be mussed about this. A dwarf is going to punch that guy one time and walk away, right?
Yes.
You're not. You start the fight. You don't need to finish it.
Yeah.
You know, like.
I love that. I love that you
doing
think about that stuff, because I find that is a little bit rare in the scene of the TTRPGs, of like people who just kind of consider their species choice of their character to just kind of be much of a much
arbitrary.
Like they play an elf the same way they would play a Goliath, play it the same way they would play
yes.
a Hobbit, and I'm like it
so
makes more of a difference to your choice than just the stats that you get and whether you have dark vision. Like, if you're an elf, then you're going to be starting the campaign, even if you're like young adult, you're going to be like 100, 200 years old. What does that mean for you to have lived 100 years before you get to like how you are considered an adult? Why are you starting at level 1 stats after living 100 years, and this goblin character is 6 years old and is starting at level 1 as well? Like, they've only lived 6 years, you've lived 100. What does that mean? What does that mean for you? What have you been doing for that time? And I try to think about those things. Like, we met playing gods on Castleton over on Winter's Tales, and in that we'd been around for 1,000 years, and we were some of the earliest gods, in fact. And so that made a big difference to like, okay, what would it mean to live for 1,000 years as like a god of a particular thing? And I like when I see somebody that quite clearly puts a lot of effort into thinking about this stuff as well.
I feel like it just takes you so much further in whatever it is that you're doing, whatever story you're telling. Like, it helps you really solidify and like make this person like an actual person out of your character. And I think a lot of times people kind of go into it, and it's like about what spells you have, right? And it's about what powers you have, and it's about how strong you are and all that stuff, right? It's about your stats and the mechanics, and sure. But also, if you're telling an actual story that you want to be cohesive and you want to feel good, I feel like a lot of people, because I GM as well, I feel like a lot of people put the burden and the onus of like winning, the feeling of winning in TTRPGs. They put too much of that on the DM, right? They're like, hey, you need to give me a story where the monster is not going to necessarily kill me. You should make it hard because I want it to be hard, but like, I don't want to die, you know? And like, you need to do that. And then like, you'll do that. And then I'll have my story and I'll get to live my little life like in your story. And then, you know, both of us will be happy. And I'm like, sure, but what are you bringing to my story? Like, I'm not here to just like read a novel that I wrote, right? That's not what this is. Like, I'm here to give you parameters and to set up a situation for your character to thrive in, right? What are you doing in this world that we are now making together, right? Rather than like, this is my world and you're going to do stuff in it. Like, you have to affect the world around you if you want to have a good time. And for me, the biggest thing when I'm playing, I need character growth. I will not have fun playing your TTRPG if I cannot grow as a character. Like, that is the best feeling in the world. Even in a one shot, you can have a character experience growth, right? Maybe they're somebody who's like afraid to stick up for themselves at the beginning, and then by the end they're telling people their fucking truth. You know what I mean? Like, even if it's something small. I love growth in my characters, and it's really easy to stick to your character and to stick to that growth arc if you think about the consequences that your character understands they have for their actions. If you think about like, okay, we lived for 1,000 years in Castleton, right? So my character, Lady Amaya, is the first demigod, right? She's like, everything is kind of revolved around me a little bit. Everybody respects me. I don't really have to work for it. Like, I just show up places and people are really happy to see me. I don't really think about what that means. It's been 1,000 years. It's kind of old hat now. Gets to a place where she's like, why is it like this? This is kind of, I don't even really like that it's like this. So what? You know what I mean?
Well, when the instigating thing changes, and what does that make your character? So what does that change in the character? Because if the thing in the world changes, the plot device that sets off the whole story changes, and it doesn't immediately affect your character, then that's not the character we should be focused on for the story. Like, we need to be looking at the characters that are changed by the instigating thing that changes.
Yes, everybody else is just going to be support. If you want to have main character energy without being a main character person, right? That's how you do it. You walk into a story with a really interesting storyline and then follow that thread. Like, this is a person that for 1,000 years, everything has been just so. And so when things aren't just so, she can either go, oh, that's weird, or she can go, what the fuck? Destabilizing event. What am I going to do? I guess I'm going to write a letter to this guy. Like, do I even like him? I think I might. I've never really had to think about that before.
Yeah, I've never had to think about that. And then
this
likewise being that guy receiving the letter, being like, I've never had to think about this at all. And what does this mean for us? And I don't know that's... Oh, God. It's really interesting as well that in that project with over 120 creators at the beginning of it, the people I know who have watched it from an external view, knowing nothing about it, the people that they, in episodes 1 to 3 or whatever, the people that they start to gravitate towards, the different stories they're interested in, it's the ones that end up becoming more of a main character kind of stories through the production, because it is the players that chose to bring those sorts of characters, the characters that had something to give, something to change, something that made them stand out, have been like, oh, I want to see that person grow. Even if it's, I hate that guy, I want to see him get his comeuppance. Like, that's still a story that is going to be affected by the world.
Absolutely.
And so it's fascinating to see friends of mine watching the project from the beginning and going, oh, I hope that we get to see more of so-and-so character. And I'm just like sitting there biting my tongue, being like, they're the ones who end up being all the way through to the end because the character brought something, the player brought something to the character.
Yeah.
So let's. I normally start with talking about the guest's name. So tell me about Candace the Magnificent. Where did that brand name come about?
Oh, so it's very old actually. I love Arthurian literature and high fantasy. I always have. My mom is also a big fantasy dork, so I grew up with like all of the fantasy things. And when I was little, I was like, I mean, very much in true current non-binary fashion. I did not know that I was non-binary at that time, but I knew I was a little wonky in some ways. And I remember being like, knights have fancy names. Like, knights save the day. Like, I remember watching Labyrinth for the first time with David Bowie and being like, Sarah isn't a princess, really. Like, there's a part where she's a princess, but she's mostly a knight, right? She's mostly like she has squires. She goes on the quest, right? Like, she's the knight. So I was like, I need a knight name. Like, you got to have a knight name. What are you gonna do? You got you got Sir Gawain the Green Knight, right? You've got you've got the brave, you've got the beautiful. You've got the fearless, you've got the noble, right? Like, what's good for you? And I just kind of sat with it and I was like, magnificent? Maybe that's it. Maybe it's magnificent. Yeah, Candace the Magnificent. And I was like, that's awesome. So I like wrote it all in all my books and stuff like that. I think I was like 7. I like wrote it on all my books and put it on my homework and like drew it fancy and like my fanciest lettering and stuff. And for a long time, it was just like a name that I just called myself and that my mom would refer to me as, and like my brothers and stuff. Because I'm like running around the house like, Candace the Magnificent, like really getting. So for a long time, that was just like a name that my family had for me. And then when I started to do online stuff, I was at that Candace girl for a while because I'm in a lot of spaces where I've been in a lot of spaces where I'm like the only person of color or I'm the only black person. Right. So people are always like, oh, that Candace girl that was here. Like, people would always like talk about me like that. So I was like, sure, that's your handle.
I'll take it.
But after a while I was like, that's not that professional. And like, you don't have to be professional. You can be playful. There are people who have really stupid handles out there that are famous as fuck. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but like, maybe it should be something that like you aspire to be. And I remembered Candace the Magnificent and I was like, okay, well, double-edged sword. You call yourself Candace the Magnificent. You have 2 options. You can either be a huge disappointment all the time, or you can do everything you can to show up and be magnificent every time. And I was like, I like that I'm holding myself to something. Yeah. Let's do it. And it's lasted for 3 years, and so far it doesn't seem, most people have not been disappointed from what I understand, which is good.
I think it's a wonderful I was gonna say demonym, that's not the right word. I think it's a wonderful attribute to give to yourself is magnificent as well, because it's got such there's enough room for people to put their own connotations on what it means to be magnificent. It's not so prescriptive. But it is also like it's prescriptive enough that people know roughly the ballpark of where we're talking when we're saying magnificent. but
Yeah.
it's still got that subjectivity of like, what does it mean to you to be magnificent? I also think
Yeah.
it works for you as a non-binary person, because it's not got as much gender expectations
Yes.
on it as a lot of other of those words. Like, people expect that handsome is only really usually applied to mask folk, and pretty to femme folk, and those sorts of things. Magnificent feels like a more across the board kind of a there's a word I'm looking for that's not antonym, but that's the word that my brain keeps offering up to me.
Adjective.
Yeah, there's a word for when it's a the something, that's specifically an adjective that's something, the something. And as a linguistic nerd, it'll bother me.
In my head, I'm over here like honorific, but that's not it.
Honorifics in the right ballpark, but anyway, doesn't matter. Somebody in the chat might know it. So you decided to go with Candace the Magnificent for your online presence. Let's talk about where did this online presence even begin? Like, what were you doing when you decided to start doing things online, when you needed a handle in the first place?
Yeah, so I had wanted to try my hand at streaming on Twitch because I wanted to play more video games. I love playing video games, and I was working in an advertising agency that used to kick my ass. I was doing like 70, 80-hour weeks. It was rough. And it was kind of just expected, like it was part of the job. Like, no one was like, "Oh, you did so good this week. You worked 70 hours." People were like, "Oh, you didn't work 75." It's very very much a very complicated work environment. And I remember just being like, if I have a job, right? If there's something I'm going to do every week, then I can justify spending time playing video games. I won't feel bad about it. But I just couldn't get there. I just could not get there. I kept trying and failing. Some friends of mine had some online stuff that they were doing with Screen Junkies before that fell apart. A few of my friends were friends with those people as well. So they used to do like fan friction and fan fights and stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And I used to occasionally be on those. But TTRPGs, I started that in January 2021. My home game GM works for Pinnacle, Savage Worlds, and was doing helping them do Pathfinder for Savage Worlds, and didn't have time during the pandemic to continue like running the game for us privately online. So he asked me, "Do you want to GM? Like, you've been wanting to try your hand at GMing. This is the perfect time. I can play, but I don't have the time to like make a whole like schedule." And I was like, "Sure, okay." So we'd been doing that for about 8 or 9 months at that point. And he was like, "Hey, like, this Savage Pathfinder's coming out. You already know how to play it because I was running my version for you as a home game. Do you want to be on the stream?" And I was like, "Sure, okay." So I go to the stream and I set all my stuff up or whatever, and it's janky. It's horrible looking because I didn't know what I was doing. But I had a really good time. And they asked me back for a handful more like events that they were doing. Like, they had some one shots for, I think, Flash Gordon and for East Texas University Study Abroad, which is an expansion of their system. So I did those. And then one of the GMs that I had was looking for someone to do a longer term Deadlands campaign. And I was like, I like Deadlands. Like, I had a good time playing the couple, 1 or 2 shots that I had done before. So I applied and got in. And then I did that for like 8 or 9 or 10 episodes, actually, I think. And then I made friends with people who were in the space who were looking for people to cast. And then I did Dead Planet that following January. And that was kind of the end of it. Like, after that, it was just TTRPGs all the time. I had kind of a little bit of a taste on my own of doing things online during the pandemic. I used to do something called 5 Song Fridays. I taught myself how to play the ukulele, and I never had time to play it. So during the pandemic, when everything stopped, I had tons of time. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to, like, people can't go to concerts. So I'm going to do concerts for people. Nice. I'm going to do I'm going to pick a theme and just learn songs and play for people and be a real life bard, because I was playing a bard in my Pathfinder game.
Nice.
Yeah. So I started doing that, and people were coming. It was on Facebook Live, and my friends and stuff and my family were coming. Then people I used to know were coming in, people I knew currently. So like eventually I started having like 100 to 200 people watching me every Friday night. Which was cool. There was like a lot of community. People were talking about, how it felt to not be able to see their family and all that stuff. Yeah. So everybody was kind of like celebrating together, but grieving together too. Like, it was very interesting. But I did that for a full year, and then I was like, so now what? Did it shift once you realized that you had those people come in? Did it feel more of a responsibility or more of an expectation on you? Did you start putting like more
pressure on yourself to, I better get better at my ukulele, I better get good.
Yeah, I'm that person. So yes, there was lots of that.
Now it's like, oh well, now it's a job. Now I've turned it into something that I have to be good at. Yeah.
Yeah. I did get a little nervous, especially because people I worked with. That was really what fucked me up. I think if people that I was working with at the advertising agency hadn't heard about me doing the thing, it wouldn't have been a big deal. But a bunch of them started showing up because one person found out about it and told everybody, which I'm like, you see, it's that kind of behavior as to why I don't tell anybody what I do. It's that shit right there. You see, like, fucking it up for everyone. So the one time that like it was like the boss's boss, he was like the head of creative, decided to come, and it was like a Halloween show, and I had painted my face like a fucking jack-o'-lantern, so I looked like wild. Like I went nuts on my makeup. It was cool, but I looked ridiculous.
Yeah.
And this guy like had no impression of me before that because he had just accepted the job right before the pandemic. So it's like his first impression of me is pumpkin face, and I'm playing like Psycho Killer by the Talking Heads, and like I had a whole like Halloween song list. I'm reading poetry. It was ridiculous. I was so embarrassed because I was just like, this guy is not going to care about what I'm doing, and he did not. He was not impressed. Perfectly okay though. I was impressed.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of what I did. I look back on it now, and it's weird to watch me be so critical. Like I'm critical in the moment. Like I'm talking to the audience, and I'm like, that was terrible. Don't listen to me. I'm a terrible ukulele player. Like I'm talking to my audience like, you shouldn't watch this show. I'm really bad. So I've thankfully outgrown that. I've actually been thinking about going back and doing 5-Song Fridays again, because I really miss playing my ukulele. And I mean, I still do. I play for my partner and my cats. My cats ate it, but I play for my partner. But I've been thinking about going back to it because I think I want to resurrect the videos next year as like a time capsule.
Nice.
To like talk about how things have changed like 6 years on. But yeah, it was really fun. But that was the beginning of like my online exploration. And then I went into TTRPGs, and I've not looked back since. Even voice acting. My first voice acting gig came because a friend of mine at the time was doing a trailer for a Kickstarter for a TTRPG. And he needed someone to announce the trailer, to be the narrator. And I was like, I'd love to audition. And the client chose me. And that was my very first voiceover gig. So even that's grown out of TTRPGs.
That's cool. And so you've never done any voice work before. What made you want to audition in the first place then, if you'd not done...
So yeah, I grew up acting. Like when I was in school, in grade school, all the way through high school. And then when I got to college, I had to kind of stop when I got to college because my school did not allow people to be in the musicals or the plays that they would put on unless you were a minor or a major in drama and acting.
Right.
And my parents were like, don't do that. Everyone can do that. You're smart. Go to school for something smart. And I was like, I'm going to get an English degree and a women's studies degree. I'm so sorry. I don't care about other stuff. And my parents were like, all right, whatever. At least you have a paper. It's fine. You have paper, has your name on it. It's cool. Definitely should have gone for acting. That would have probably changed my life, but it's okay. We're doing it now. So I was in a couple of productions in college that were really fun. And then when I got into TTRPGs, I was like, this is acting. Like, this is the same shit I was doing before, except instead of just doing improv games, I'm doing like an improv character for like 3 to 5 hours at a time, right? This is the same thing. And I was like, this is great. I love this. Other people are not as serious as me. I wish I could play at a table where everybody was equally serious.
Yeah.
And then I got into TTRPGs and I was like, this still isn't as serious. But eventually I found people that were just as serious as me. And I've been very lucky to make awesome shit.
Yeah, you find out, I think it's the same with anything. Like, as soon as you start to delve into something, no matter how niche it is, you realize that it expands to fill your horizon until you're like, now you can see the niche within the niche. And you go, okay, so tabletop role-playing games, doing tabletop role-playing games for content, that's going to be such a niche industry. And then you jump into it and you're like, oh, okay, so there's people who play Dungeons & Dragons and Pathfinder and whatever. Okay, so then you find that niche and you go, okay, so I'm a Dungeons & Dragons creator, I guess. And then within that niche, you go, oh, there's people who do it as mainly just improv stuff. And then there's people who do it like focusing on the drama, focusing on the comedy. Okay, and then you find a niche within that. And it keeps expanding and keeps zooming in until you find like, oh, this is exactly the very tiny little area of the shoebox that I want to be in. This is where I feel good. I'll stay here.
Yeah, I feel like for me, it's like buckets. Like I
right.
go around collecting buckets. So every day I wake up and there's like a row of buckets in front of me, and I'm like, today's bucket is D&D because it's funny, and we're
Yes.
shit posting the whole time.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing today. Oh, tomorrow we're doing an ultra serious talking about activism.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Urban Shadows.
We're gonna use
That's what,
this system because it's all about like anti-consumerism, and that's kind of the bent that I'm on at the
yes.
moment. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I love that it's never really the same. Like even session to session, it's never quite the same. And that's something that I really, really enjoy. For anybody in the chat, I don't know if you guys know this, but one of the hardest things to do in life as someone who does TTRPGs professionally is convince your family that you do anything that matters. That is that is an ultimate test of your willpower and strength. Is trying to explain to your parents how you make money and how you feed yourself.
It took me being able to fly around the world. I've been to for anyone watching later. It is now July. Since March this year, so in the last like 4 months, I've been to the UK twice, Australia like 4 times, and Germany once. Just because unfortunately things happened. Like my granddad started getting ill, so I was like, gotta jump on a plane tomorrow. And it took me getting to a point where I can afford to do that while still paying my mortgage on my house for the rest of my family to go, so this Dungeons and Dragons thing is actually a viable career for you? Like, yeah, yeah, it pays for my mortgage it puts money in the savings.
Yes.
So that I can, at a whim, I can, if I need to, fly to the UK.
That part. And I think for me, like, it's an ongoing experience. I feel like the more cool projects that I get and the more interesting things that happen to me, the easier it is to explain to my mom, like, what the fuck I'm doing. Especially because my middle brother is a dungeon master, but like for funsies, right? With his friends online. So my mom's like, so Nick can do what you do, right? And I'm like, I love Nick. But he's not the best at, like, I don't know, scheduling people, wrangling individuals, making sure that you don't skip any fucking events that you put out there, making sure you can travel to and forth from the places that people want to see you. Like, there's so much more to it than she like could possibly understand.
Exactly.
So
like, oh, he can do what you do. Oh, mum, just throw me that apple real quick. Throws it over to you, and you're like, oh, so you can do what LeBron James does because you can throw, right?
Easy.
Is that what you're saying?
Easy.
You can
Get
throw
out
an
there.
apple over, so therefore you can also do. No, there's a different level.
Oh my god. I think what really there have been a couple of moments recently where my mom has like focused up and she's been like, aha, I know what you do. That's fucking awesome. The first time, I told her last year when it came out to listen to City of the Black Rose, Herald of Shadows, right? That's 3 Black Halflings, most recent AP. And I was like super lucky to be able to join. I was a seat filler that ended up having a fucking fantastic time and a great story. And now I'm like on that show, which is wild. So like it was a whole thing for me. And my mom's like, you know, so I was like, well, just listen to the first episode. So she listens to it, and it's fantastic horror. If you like scary shit, it's so scary. The opening scene of that show, it's Brennan Lee Mulligan and our GM Jeremy Cobb. And they are having a conversation about this character that is going to meet an untimely demise. I'm only telling you this minor spoiler so that you don't get sunken thinking that Brennan Lee Mulligan and I are in a whole campaign together. We are not. Maybe one day. Right now, no, not yet. But he's in it. And then the next person you hear is me. So I'm like, just listen for 30 minutes. You'll get a little treat, right? I didn't tell her that I was going to be in there. I was just like, listen to this podcast. So she gets back to me and she's like, hey, Candy. I'm like, hey, Mom. She's like, well, I listened to the podcast. I said, okay. She's like, it was very gory. I was like, all right. She's like, it was hard to understand. Like, are they just making things up randomly that just don't make any sense? I'm like, did you listen to it? Well, I don't know them. There are these 2 guys talking, and I was just waiting for you the whole time, and you weren't there, so I turned it off. I was like, Mom, you gotta listen to it. So I'm like, it's Brennan Lee Mulligan, Mom. It's Brennan Lee Mulligan. She's like, I don't know who that is. I'm like, I understand, but he's important. Okay, he's important. I'm like showing her diagrams of like Dropout. I'm like, this is who he is, and she's like,
this means nothing to me. I don't know what Dropout is.
Weeks later, I go over there and I'm like, I'm going to try one last time. It's been like 3 years now. I'm going to try one more time to let this lady know what's going on. And so I take her to the Dimension 20 page and I'm like, I'll just show her a short. And I'm scrolling through And she goes, oh, is that Monet Exchange? And I said, yes, it is Monet
We're like,
Exchange.
all right, we found her in. Let's
yes. Go. I'm like, oh my God. And like my partner is looking at me like, is this it? Is this the moment? And I'm like, okay. And I click on it. And she's like, and Bob the drag queen. Jujubee, I love Jujubee. Oh my God.
Nice.
Yay,
Okay,
my
we found it.
girls.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. She's like, who's that guy? I was like, oh, that's Brandon Lee Mulligan. She goes, Brandon Lee Mulligan. And he's friends with all these ladies. I'm like, he is friends with these ladies. Him and Jujubee have fantastic chemistry. And Mom's like, oh yeah, that's very fancy. This is a fancy show. I was like, it is. She's like, isn't he the guy that was talking in that podcast you run? I'm like,
yeah.
yes.
So she made the connection even. That's even better.
She was like, so you're like a big deal right now. I was like, I mean, no, not really. Yeah, sure.
You're like, hey, I'm big deal adjacent.
I'm like right there.
People,
she was like, okay.
when I end up talking to somebody while traveling or whatever, and they end up talking about what I do, and there's always that moment of gauging. All right, what level do I need to pitch this at? So I start with like, do you understand gaming, like board gaming and things? And they're like, sure. I'm like, tabletop role play. Dungeons. Have you heard of Dungeons and Dragons? Like I'm always working out where to pitch it. If we end up talking about it, and they're like, so you're like a big deal, and I'd be like, well, it depends. Like I'm a big deal for the people who know me. I am a celebrity to the people who think I'm a celebrity. Like it's really hard to describe.
Are you Schrodinger's cat, or I don't understand.
Yeah, exactly. I'm Schrodinger's celebrity. Where I definitely have been in situations where I have caused people to almost get a panic attack because I'm a big deal to them.
Yes.
But I can walk down the street and go supermarket shopping and nobody's ever going to recognize me. I've been recognized for my Dungeons and Dragons work on the street like once or twice.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm the level of famous that I imagine some like relatively small author is, where it's like you only know what they look like if you know what their work is. Right. You're not going to recognize them from the front of some magazine. You're not going to be on a trashy thing. But if I'm at a convention where people are there to see me, then people are going to be very excited to see me. And that level.
Yeah. Like I tried telling her, so that happened to me the first time ever. Like I've gone to conventions and people have been like, oh my God, right? And that's been very lovely. But they're always all just other creators.
Yeah.
My partner was like, you should make a shirt that says your favorite creator's favorite creator, because that's what you are. I was like, thanks, pal. That's true. So I didn't think anybody was ever gonna like know me like that. That was just like a regular person that isn't just in the community and has their own channel and stuff. And I went to upstate New York this past weekend to film an in-person AP for a friend of mine's new system, Duality, that should be coming to Kickstarter in early 2026, I believe. And I had a great time. It's wonderful. And we went into town. And down here, I have a comic book shop that I love. It's an Eisner Award-winning comic book shop multiple times over. It's fantastic, called Tate's in South Florida. If you guys are ever in South Florida, ask yourself why you're here. If you have to be here, go to Tate's, because it's terrible here. Don't come here. But Tate's is fantastic. It's like a South Florida institution. So they moved up. The owner and his wife moved up to upstate New York, and then opened a smaller art gallery up there called the Bear and Bird. And I've been wanting to go up there for forever because I'm a huge fan of their stuff down here. My partner is friends with Tate. So I was so excited to be able to go to this little store. It's very kitschy and adorable. And I get there and I'm looking around the store and everything's wonderful. And I'm like, I don't have enough money to buy everything in the store, but I'm going to try. And I get to the register, and the guy that my friend Matt, who is the person who flew me up, was telling him why we were all in the store. Cause he was like, oh, do you guys all know each other? Usually like we have one or two people come in, but like on a Sunday, especially, but we're like full right now. Do you guys know each other? And he's like, oh yeah, we're all in town doing an AP. And he was like, oh, you do tabletop role-playing games? And Matt was like, oh, I was about to explain to you what an AP was. Yes, we do. Do you know about these things? He's like, oh yeah, I'm huge into Worlds Beyond Number. I listen to Dimension 20. I listen to Critical Role. I'm starting to get into like some UK productions and stuff, and trying to get some like international perspectives. He's like, oh, that's really great. Yeah, you probably know Candace then. And he's like, what do you mean? And Matt's like, oh, come over. I was like, oh, hey, how are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm good. I'm like, I'm Candace, whatever. I say hi. And he's like, so you're here for the AP? And I was like, yeah, I am. I'm on a couple of shows. He's like, can I watch your stuff? I'd love to watch your stuff. I was like, yeah, I'm on a show called Three Black Halflings. He's like, wait, what?
What?
Hold on. And he like takes his phone out of his pocket and he opens his podcatcher and shows me a picture of Three Black Halflings like in his like queue. He's like, this show? I was like, yeah. He goes, that's not you though. I'm like, no, they just added me like 2 weeks ago. I'm not in the marketing materials set. He opens it and goes, this says Candace. Are you? I'm like, yeah. He's like, what? And he's like, I heard your episode. It was awesome. And I'm just standing there like holding like magnets and patches and stickers like, yeah, cool. This is really weird. Thank you. I appreciate it. This is awesome. This feels really good.
Yeah.
Didn't expect this to happen. I'm not familiar with this, but
yeah.
He gave me a coupon. It was great.
10
out of 10.
At least it was still in an environment where it's like that makes sense to happen. Like, okay,
yes.
if I'm gonna get recognized, it's gonna be in this sort of
that
thing.
Was a good place. Yeah, the day it happens to me like in a random place, I'll die.
It's happened to me in the supermarket once and it threw me off.
Oh my god.
Thankfully the guy was just like a normal guy that understood the basics of like what this interaction is and what it needs to be.
Thank goodness.
Like, I had my headphones on, I was like thinking in the produce aisle, I was just like, oh, what do I need, blah blah blah, completely in my own world. This guy kind of steps out in front of me in my periphery and stops and blocks my path. I go to step around him, I look up and see that he's looking at me, so it's like, oh, he wants to stop me. I take my headphone off like this and I go, yeah, and he goes, I'm not going to bother you. I'm not going to bother you or anything. I just wanted to say that I really love your work with Viva the Dirt League, and like it's your actual play's like done wonders for me. I watch it with my wife, and I was like, oh, and suddenly I was like, turn it on. Be the guy that he's now gonna be interacting. He's now gonna be telling people of this interaction and how I was, and like. Oh, don't be an asshole to him. So I'm like,
tighten up, dude.
Those sorts of anxieties come through. I'm like, why would I have been an asshole to him? Like, I'm not an asshole to the regular people in my supermarket, so why would I have?
Just in case.
But I'm like, oh, now I gotta be. Hey, yeah, thanks very much for saying so, man. And he just kind of left it at that. It was like, honestly, I'm not gonna bother you or whatever, but like, love your work. And then left, and I was like, oh, thank fuck, because that's if you've caught me completely out of the realm of I'm doing my thing, then I'm not doing my thing. And so like you're gonna have caught me off guard and put me on the back foot.
I did that to myself at Gen Con.
Gen
Con. Yeah, I did it to myself. It was awful. I've had a crush on Matthew Lillard since Scream.
Right.
I was allowed to watch Scream entirely too young, and I was like, that boy is cute. And then he was Shaggy and I was like, oh no. And he was in a bunch of other movies that I loved growing up in the 90s and 2000s, and I was just like, this I don't think he knows that he's like a dreamboat, but he needs to. Someone should tell him. So like 20 years I'm like, Matthew Lillard, right? And I'm walking around Gen Con. It's the last day and I'm with Jeremy, right? We were going around looking for a system for this new AP that 3BH is going to be doing. And he wanted my feedback, my input. So we're walking around, we're talking to people and stuff, making connections. And I like turn down a corridor and I'm like, whoa, nope. He's like, what's wrong? I'm like, nothing's wrong. We're going down the next aisle. He's like, I think we should probably go down this aisle because there's someone. I'm like, you should go by yourself. He's like, I thought you were helping me. I'm like, no, I'm not useful. Can't help you. Sorry. Got other things
I've never helped anyone in my life.
Not one day. So I'm sorry. He's like, are you wait a minute. You see Matthew Lillard, don't you? I was like, no. No. He's like, you should meet him. He should know about you. Maybe you'll be on Purple Worm. Come on, I'll introduce you. We've had him on the show. I was like, no, I'm good. I'm all right here. I'm fine. He's like, okay, I'm just gonna grab you. So he like grabbed me by the shoulders and walked me over there. And I'm like, he's like, Matthew Lillard's getting closer and closer. And obviously it's me getting closer and closer, but I'm just like, this man is getting closer and closer to me. And I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to get up there. Candace, you've been practicing this moment for 20 years. What is it that you want to say to him? And I'm like, don't talk about Scream.
You wrote it in all your notebooks.
You wrote it in all your notebooks. You know that you want to talk to him about that one Law and Order SVU episode. You know that no one ever asks him about that. That's the one you got to ask. And I get up there and I'm like, you're Matthew Lillard. Hello, I'm Candace. I don't have business cards. You're eating Chipotle. I'm sorry I'm bothering you. He's like, it's cool. Like, mouthful of beans. Like, what's wrong? Everything's good. How are you doing? I'm like, you're great in Scream. I watched it when I was like, I don't know, 7. I shouldn't have, but I did immediately. I'm like sitting there like, you stupid idiot. How could you do this to yourself? You sold yourself out, Candace. What are you doing? So that voice is talking to me as I'm trying to like make new sentences.
I love those moments when we're like sitting in at the control panel of the brain being like, it's not working!
What are you doing?
Why? How is this on autopilot? We shouldn't be.
Oh my god. Who did this?
We practiced this! This is why we have drills! What is the matter with you people?
Oh, it was horrible. It was horrible. And then like the conversation ended with him being like, well, I'm gonna finish my lunch. And I'm like, good. You should finish your lunch.
He's gonna be like, I'm gonna finish my lunch, and then immediately forget about this entire interaction. And you're
Literally.
like, well, I'm gonna make it a core memory.
Like literally. I'm gonna I'm like dreading the day that somebody like, if God forbid Beetle and Grimm is like, we're looking for people, and someone's like, you should meet Candace. And like, I swear to God, it will be so good if he forgets that he ever met me.
You have to start that
Instead of
interaction.
being like,
you have to start that interaction as like, oh, it's lovely to meet you for the first time.
aren't you that person that bothered me while I was stuffing my face full of Chipotle? I remember you. You had absolutely nothing to say, but still decided to interrupt me. What's up?
Your friend came over specifically to introduce you, and then it was a very forgettable experience.
Oh my god,
thanks.
it was horrible. Years taken off my life that day.
At Gen Con, people are expecting it though. Like you're always even when you're stuffing your face with Chipotle, you've got an element of I'm in the space and people around me. So it wouldn't have been anything to him. Plus, I've heard he's a very nice guy. I've not met him.
He was very nice, despite the fact that I was interrupting him. Very tall, yeah. I mean, you're also very tall, though. So I feel like he's probably not going to be that tall.
I'm just under 6 foot.
I don't know. You feel tall to me because I'm not
tall. Energy. Because because we met while I was playing a guy who was 6'6".
That's true. That probably has a lot to do with it. Yeah.
He had very tall energy.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I've not been starstruck much in my life. Like I've as an actor, I've been on set with all sorts of different people, and I've touched my nose to Ian McKellen's nose. Yeah, that's right. That's a whole story. But
you lived to tell the tale.
And I wasn't particularly starstruck. Like it was really good to meet him and to have those interactions. But I didn't really get starstruck until 2020, early 2020. We're talking like February. The Viva La Dirtly D&D channel was taking off in a big way. D&D Live was coming up, the live show that they do where they do a bunch of announcements of new products and things. And it was going to be later that year, like July or something. And we got contacted saying, hey, we're going to fly you out. So D&D Live, we're going to fly us out, the Viva La Dirtly guys and I. Fly us out like first class, put us up business class and everything, and, all this stuff. Put us up in a fancy 5-star hotel, and they were talking about like, yeah, Critical Role are going to be in attendance. We're going to see if we can put you on stage with them for like a game or something. And I was like, it was the closest I've been to like, holy shit, I'm starstruck. And then something in my brain went, hey, have you heard of that COVID thing that's getting pretty big at the moment?
Oh, God.
People are talking about that a lot more lately.
Hope that's not a problem.
I hope that's not and then in the following couple of days, it was like, yeah, that thing over there in this country is closed down, and this convention over here is closed down. There's a chance that this thing's not going to happen come March, April, May. And then sure enough, we got into March and it was like, and everything's closed. And so
damn it,
that never happened. So and then since the world started up again, things had moved on, things had changed, the whole scene had changed, and so I've still yet to meet any of them. But one day I will, and I'll be like, I think by now I would kind of be over the starstruck nature of it, because now I consider myself much more on an equal with other content creators of our size, I'm like,
Yeah.
there would be people that I would admire and really
Colleagues.
enjoy meeting, to tell them how much their work has meant to me and how much it helped me to get into the work that I do now. But I know that I would be confident enough in myself and the work that we put out there that I am to a lot of fans the same way that Matt Mercer is to me, and so I can go like, hey, I can meet them as equals.
Yeah, I have to tell you, that was how you were billed to me. I had met you, and we had like a one-on-one conversation already,
Right.
and then we had like done several more episodes, and like you were yourself, and I'm me, and then I met you at Gen Con, and you were still yourself, and I was still me, and I was like, that's great. Me and Robert pals, that's wonderful. And then I auditioned for something that the showrunner is Australian, and her husband love Viva La Dirt League, right? Like that's their fucking show. That's their critical role. Like y'all are their critical role. So like I didn't know that. She was asking me what I do other than voice acting. And I was like, oh yeah, I do like TTRPGs. I don't know if you know what that is. Like the whole, have you seen Stranger Things? Right? Like
let's
decide
find
where to
out
start.
where we're pitching. Yeah. If they're an
So
older
she's
person, maybe they've played it back in the 80s and they realize that it's still a thing.
So with her, I was like, oh, have you heard of this? And she was like, oh yeah, Dungeons and Dragons. I'm like, I was like, so I do that. And she's like, oh, that's really cool. You probably have never heard of them, but we have like a really big show down here called Viva La Dirt League. And I was like, oh, no, I've totally heard of them. And I'm like, in this moment, I'm like, how do I tell this person? It's going to be really fucking weird for me to say this to this lady right now. Like the gravity of it hit me before I opened my mouth. And I was like, I feel like this lady is about to freak the fuck out. Okay, well, I guess let's just see what happens. I was like, yeah,
see how it lands.
Me and Rob Hartley are friends. And she's like, I'm sorry, excuse me, what? What do you mean? What are you talking about? What do you mean you're just casual friends? Like you just chat? I'm like, I mean, yeah, like we talk on Discord. She's like, okay, like you're like a fan though. I'm like, I mean, we make stuff together. We're in a show.
Yeah,
she was like,
we played lovers in a scene in a show once.
And she's like blinking at me like, I'm like, are you okay? She's like, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell my husband. I'm gonna let my husband know. Later tonight. Maybe I'm gonna tell him and I'll get back to you. I was like, okay. And so then I got the part. And she's like, I don't want you to think this is because you're friends with Rob Hartley. It's not. It's because you're actually good and we really liked you. But also my husband wants to ask you so many questions about Rob. And I'm like, okay, sure. I'll tell you all I know. Like,
well, good to know. But yeah, that's and it's like, well, yeah, you got the job because you're good, and that's also why you ended up in a thing with Rob. Like, you didn't just do it because like we all ended up in a thing because we were all good at what we do, and we got put together for being like, hey, these people are really good at what they do.
Yeah, it's really hard to explain being good at this.
Yes, right.
People are like,
and it took me a long time to be able to accept for myself that I was, because I got into it watching Critical Role and watching Matt and going, oh, he's amazing at what he does. People are telling me my sound has dropped again. Let me just give me one second to just go into see if it's
Tech albums are like having too much fun. Not on my watch.
It has. It's dropped it down to 60.
Oh my god.
While we're doing things, I could not have possibly done anything. People, you see this, right? You see it. People sometimes wonder if I'm hamming it up, or like I'm really sort of pretending like I have tech gremlins that I don't. We're in the middle of a stream, and I could not possibly have done anything. I haven't touched any of my devices, and it's dropped. And it just the gremlins just decided, let's drop his volume down to 65%. Anyway,
I'm telling you, you're having too much time.
Fancy, who is my editor, says I'm leaving this in. Thank you, Fancy. People need to see it. People need to see what I deal with day to day.
So stressful.
Anyway, so are you kidding me? People say it was fine for a second, then it dropped again. It can't
oh my god!
Again, immediately.
Do you have an XLR microphone in?
It has. It's dropped
or USB.
68%. What is possibly happening?
See, you sound better now.
Turn it up. I accept it. Okay, it's done. I click OK, and I'm out of it. Is it changed? Has it changed? How is it possibly changing itself mid-sentence? It's never done that before, and it isn't a setting that should be a thing that it can do. Fucking hell. I've no idea. I need somebody else to be a full-time tech. Come
to my home.
I was saying I'm at a stage.
It did it again.
Did it again?
I think, I don't know. Look at chat, I guess. Because now
All
I'm
right.
worried that I'm hearing something different than chat.
Yeah.
Like I can still hear you. Like you're perfectly
You can hear
audible.
me fine.
Yeah, but you do sound slightly quieter than you did a moment ago.
We're gonna give me. we don't need, I don't think an IT professional's qualified, and you need a priest. Okay, give me a second, everybody, to try and troubleshoot this, because it is going to make it difficult for people to watch back later if it's all fucked up. Levels. It's now at 76%, so it's not even consistent in how it's dropping it. Why is it dropping it, and how is it dropping it on its own? If I turn it up to like 85%. I'm going to turn that off. I'm just going to start hitting things randomly. That always ends well. There is no fixing this. This is the sound now. Yeah. We're just going to... Look, if I see that my... if I see that my microphone is not in the yellow, I'll just speak up. I'll just modulate it with the thing that I can control, which is my own lungs. Because the tech gremlins are very prolific, but they can't yet get into my diaphragm. So I will just fix it with my own acting and voice talents of being able to project louder or soften my voice if needed. Anyway, what was I saying? I was talking about what was I saying about...
We're talking about being starstruck over Matt Mercer.
Yeah.
And then being in Castleton.
It was something to do with Castleton, I think.
Yeah.
Oh well. If it comes back, it comes back.
It's fine.
Yeah. So anyway, I've met a couple big name people like Gen Con and things in the past. Like it was introduced to Travis McElroy.
Ooh.
At a party, and I really love Adventure Zone. Like I love the McElroy stuff, and that was incredible. But it was somewhat funny because one of my partners, AJ Winters, she introduced me to Travis at this party. She'd just been talking to him for a while, and he'd mentioned in his conversation like how he kind of feels awkward around fans, and he doesn't know how to handle himself, and he doesn't like when people are just like doting on him.
Yeah.
So I walk over at some point, and I'm like waiting for a moment to get introduced that's going to be like, you know, normal and feels fluid and flows into the conversation. And I find my little moment, and I pop in with the intent of being like, hey man, love your work with Adventure Zone and stuff. I'm also a Dungeons and Dragons creator, blah blah blah, you know, meet him on a level. I pop over, AJ introduces me, I say, hey man, love your work. She freaks out having just heard from him that he doesn't do well around fans, and I'm being a bit too much of a fan. So she panics. No. She panics and like drags me away and is like, oh, 1 second, sorry, and drags me away to be like, oh, don't be a fan, or don't be a fan. And I'm like, well, you just interrupted me before I got to the I'm on a level with you now conversation. All you've done is... I came in as a fan.
Now I look like a fan!
Yeah, I came in as a fan. I said, hey, I'm a big fan of your work. And then you dragged me away before I could get myself out of being... And she was like, yeah, I know, I fucked up. She was like, I panicked. I didn't want you to... She was like, I didn't want you to ruin your shot with him to, like, get a chance to get to know him. And so I panicked and I wanted to drag you away and tell you not to be a fan around him. And I was like, you dragged me away after I was a fan.
Oh no!
So, yeah,
did you get to go back around?
Nope, never got a chance to meet him again, or like to go back and like explain that I am actually a content creator and.
Oh my god, dear Travis McElroy, I am not a fan.
I am not a fan of yours. Dear Travis,
you are distinctly okay. Would you like to be friends?
Essentially, yeah. So you got into TTRPGs through all sorts of different means. You got into content creation through ukulele singing on Facebook and such, and then
Yeah.
what was like the next big journey into what you're doing now? What was the biggest next step, as it were?
I think VO, honestly. I started very bare bones. I had a Blue Yeti, which I'm actually now using just for this setup only, a USB mic, and I had like an open space in my living room, which was not the right space to use for VO.
Yeah.
So I was doing that for a while, and I was still getting parts, which told me that despite the fact that my tech was like not amazing, I must be okay if I'm still getting roles, because I'm hearing people who maybe don't have as much flexibility talent wise, right, and voice wise, like vocally, but then they have fantastic equipment. And for some productions, that was the precedent. It's like how good you sounded, how high quality your audio was. That came before how good the performance was, for some places that I was applying. And after a while, I was just like, man, this fucking blows. I need something a little bit better, please. So again, I was working at an advertising agency, and I paid a visit to their studio. One of the things that I used to do as a copywriter was work on like advertising, like spots. So audio, anything for social campaigns, Spotify ads, things for, commercials, whatever. So I asked one of our engineers, I was like, hey, what are your tips? Like, I'm recording at home. And he was like, if you have a walk-in closet, that's where you need to post up. And then gave me like some really good beginner tech that I could invest in. And so I did all of that, and I saw immediate results. Now I'm at a point in my career where I'm like ready for an agent, and to try to talk to an agent to see if there's other things I can do, both as a TTRPG performer and as a voice actor. I'm also at a place now where I know I need to upgrade my equipment a little bit. My equipment is great, and it's lasted me this long, and it's been wonderful. But at the same time, like, you age out, you know what I mean? Like you grow out of things. And so that's kind of where I find myself now in my career. I think the biggest thing I've done thus far, where voice acting is concerned, I was in a video game called Monaco 2. It's a sequel to a game that came out in 2014 called Monaco, which a lot of people really enjoyed. I was actually a fan of that game in 2014 when it came out. And this new version is really cool. It didn't get the love that it needed to because Blueprints came out on the same day, and that game is fucking sick, which isn't to say Monaco 2 isn't awesome, because it is. But Blueprints is like, it has me by the throat right now.
I literally just heard about Blueprints yesterday from a friend who was
oh my god,
an update on his life, and he was like, in terms of video gaming, what am I playing at the moment? I'm playing a game called Blueprints, and he was telling me about it. Sounds very good.
It's awesome. Be careful. You are a person who likes to think, and you seem to be a fan of puzzles. This game will take over your life. Make sure that you set a timer.
Like it sounded like
it will take over.
I was like, cool, that sounds like a game I'm definitely not going to play.
Yeah, don't do it. It's awesome, though. It's really great. It's really fun. And what's nice is that you can play it in like runs, so you don't have to sit there for like 15 hours. Like, I started playing Baldur's Gate 3. Someone was gracious enough to send me a copy of that, and I started playing it and was having a really good time. But like, I'll look up and there'll be like 8 hours sunk into the game, and I'm like, that's bad. I need to do something right now. I don't know what, but I need to do something else right now. Blueprints doesn't feel that way because it's more modular. It's like you do a run, eventually you run out of cards or you run out of places to explore, and then you end the day, and then a new day starts. So you can separate yourself a little bit more easily from it, which is nice. It has Inscription vibes if you've ever played that game. Not in like the card based part of it, but in the like game within a game sort of thing. Lots of mini games and such. The mechanics feel like Betrayal if you've played that board game. Right. Really fun. But anyway,
so
that came out the same day.
Same day.
Yeah. Yeah, and so nobody really played it, and they didn't do a good job advertising it at all. And then they like wanted to port it to like when I did the VO, I didn't know it was going to be anything more than a Steam game. They had originally only planned for Steam. But then they were like, no, we're actually gonna like boost it up. We're gonna do consoles as well. So they did all 3 platforms for console and Steam. And apparently the Steam version is horribly borked. So if you are in the audience and you're thinking about playing that game, please play it on your console. Don't play it on Steam. I think you need like 1 million drivers to run it because it is gorgeous. Like it's a beautiful game. But you need a lot. Like your video card is going to be fucking wrecked.
Yeah.
If you play that
What
game
what
on
is
Steam.
it? What is the game?
So basically, it is a game that's like a heist. The first version was way simpler. It was like 8-bit or 16-bit, I think, animation and illustration. And you're going through like these levels that have like vents and ducts and hallways and stuff that you can sneak into. And there's security guards. So like you'll go to like a museum and have to steal like a diamond, right? And you have to sneak through. And each character has their own skill that they do, their own specialization. So in the new version, it's all that, but plussed up. So instead of having like the 16-bit, it's like a full illustration. It's all hand-drawn illustrations. The artist is fantastic. I play a character named Una, the Brute. That's her role. She punches people. She's awesome.
Nice.
She'll punch you in the face and take your diamonds. So that's basically the idea of the game. This one has more of like a story mode because there's a story with like the boss and then all of the people that are working for the boss to try and rip off Monaco and take Monaco for himself because there's a bunch of casinos and stuff in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really beautiful, really fantastic game. But being able to record for that was wild. That's probably the biggest thing I've done. I also started doing some casting direction as well. There's a game called Banshee, which is Beansidhe, like in the Gaelic. And that game is a close friend of mine. It's like a solo dev. The team was like less than, I think, 5 or 10 people. I was the vocal director and the casting director and the audio editor for that. Nice. And it's basically like a walking sim, kind of like What Remains of Edith Finch, without the mini games. Yeah. Like it's more just narrative. But it's fully voiced. There's like 20 different voice actors, and each gravestone that you visit tells the story of an Irish person that has come before until you get to the final level. And then the whole thing takes place in a cemetery, and it's basically a reflection and meditation on like Irish resilience. My friend found out that she's Irish. She was adopted by an Irish family, but didn't know that she herself was also Irish. So she was exploring that kind of duality of her her identity. And she's also non-binary and trans. So there's also like this kind of aspect of like trans joy and resistance and honoring the dead and remembering the people we've lost. It's a really beautiful game. Very, very nice. That's on CLB Games on Itch. Really, really cute game. Very sad, but very good. And there's some cool TTRPG people in that too, like Connie Chong from Transplaner, Kai Kagawa from Transplaner, Lev from Mayday Roleplay. So if you like TTRPGs, it has some cool overlaps there too.
That's really cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Is that what takes up the majority of your work life? Is like voice acting stuff and pursuing new projects? Because it's a very gig economy kind of thing of like,
it is.
You're employed while you're employed, and then it's done, and you're not.
Yeah, it's rough because you have to keep. Obviously, you have to keep applying, right? You have to keep doing auditions. It's very much a hustle. It's coming up with new versions and new takes on characters, hoping that someone agrees that that's good. It's not simple. I think it'll be a lot easier when I have an agent, because that'll be a steady stream of gigs that I'm being, that are being put in front of me to audition for, rather than me having to search high and low like I do now. But yeah, even TTRPGs, that started to pick up as well. I've gotten paid to do a couple of those. Like I was on Narrative Telephone with Critical Role in May. That was really fun. So I'm getting like little opportunities here and there, which are nice. And then I do freelance editing and stuff and freelance writing.
Nice.
To try to get it going. America is terrible. And if you don't have insurance, you can't get insurance unless you have a job for the most part. And if you don't have a job, to get insurance, it's expensive. So for me, like I'm in this place right now where we still have like the holdover of like all of the Obama era policies for health insurance for like one more year. So I'm here like, well, this is the time when I have to decide whether or not I want to quit all of this and have a regular job, or if I want to keep trying to do this and a regular job, or just pour all of my effort into this. And it's hard because like, I love doing this. I feel good about myself and about the work that I make. I feel great about my job and my life. When things are stressful, they still don't feel like I want to throw myself off a cliff, which my old job definitely made me feel like I wanted to throw myself off a cliff. So it's interesting, but then the trade-off is like security, which sucks. Like you want to feel like you can be secure. So Yeah, always looking for new ways to try to kind of use my talents and my skills to support myself and make some money. My nesting partner, is a designer, and he's done toy design and graphic design and illustration and all that stuff. So I've been wanting to start a company for a while, and that might be happening later this year if we finally have a product that we think is going to be something people actually want and will want to spend money on. So that's something that I have going in the works right now to hopefully get that ball rolling for myself. I want to kickstart something and see if I can like make a company. Um, Pop culture, merch, fan stuff.
All kinds of things.
Stick
Yeah,
with what I know.
lots of avenues for it.
Yeah.
So I do like to chat about like the future and what you've got planned, what's in the works, what's coming up. I just want to take the opportunity to remind people as well that if you have any questions for me or Candace, you can ask it with your channel points. It's just a very cheap channel point redemption, but it just puts it into a list for so that I don't miss the question essentially, and we can ask that at the end. So if you've got any questions about either of us or the work we do, or I suppose anything at all, you can ask that in the channel. So you said you're working towards having your own production company. Is that kind of what you'd see it as, production company? Like,
No, I think it's more going to be like products, like consumer product goods.
right,
So,
right.
the first project that I think we're going to be working on is a deck of cards, like
Okay.
playing cards. I'm a big Savage World GM. I love running it. I love playing it. Not enough people play Savage Worlds, in my opinion. It's super fun. And in Savage Worlds, the way that you do initiative is by drawing cards. You draw like a physical
Right.
card out of a deck, and that's how you decide who goes first. And one of the unique things about the system is that you draw new cards every round. So everybody takes their turn, and then the next round you draw again, rather than like in D&D where everybody's stuck at whatever they rolled
Yeah.
the first time out. I really like, there are games that I've run that I haven't had good playing cards for. Like I always want like a themed deck for whatever it is that I'm running. So there's a company called Theory 11 that makes really fantastic cards. I have quite a few in my collection. If you've ever seen like the Star Trek cards or Star Wars cards, or like they do like the Beatles or SNL, they do like popular like Marvel and stuff, popular licenses. I would like to explore doing my own licensed cards. So I'm looking at a couple of properties to see like if I can apply to do like a licensing deal with a studio or a comic book company or whatever property that we end up going with. And then I'm gonna have a Kickstarter for that. Especially with like America and like our overlords fucking with tariffs and all that stuff. It kind of dashed my dream of having a toy company.
Yeah.
That's really what I want to do, is make toys.
Yeah.
And eventually I'll be able to get back there. Hopefully,
one day.
if things improve, we'll see. People are getting real sick of it now, so I'm like, oh, you're sick of it like I've been sick of it this whole time. Great, welcome to my world. I am black and queer and gender fluid in America, so congratulations. Yeah, I think that eventually that's where I would like to be, is have a toy company all to myself. But I've also thought about production. Since things have started to kind of take off for me, and things are getting better. Like I'm in a show called Wayward Autumnal that was just nominated, and Bloom and Blight as well, both of which were nominated for a bunch of awards this year at New Jersey Web Fest and LA Web Fest and Peruvian Web Fest and all of the Web Fests, Cusco Web Fest. So that's really cool to see that people really like what we're making. Same with Rainbow Roll Fest as well. It's nice to know that people think that what we're doing is awesome. So a few people have actually come to me and offered me space on their channels to just do whatever. They're like, we'll produce it, right? We'll handle all the extra. You just show up and tell us who you want us to get, and we'll write out. So I'll be doing a show with Guild Superior. That's going to be a little Savage Worlds like 4-shot for your 4-shot. And I have a show that's going to be coming out with Bad House that I'm super excited about. That's probably the most world building I've ever done in my life. It's called Lost in Reverie. It is unannounced, so you guys are kind of getting a sneak peek. But it is using the system Good Strong Hands, and it's like an 80s fantasy themed game. Oh yeah, okay. So Good Strong Hands is by Nerdburger Games. It is a D6 pool system, and it's basically, so Good Strong Hands, the line is actually from the Neverending Story, and the game itself is like a low magic, high fantasy game. Where you can be a variety of archetypes of like ancestry. So you can be like a fawn or a sylph or a brownie or a red cap. And basically it's designed to make you feel like you are playing inside of an 80s fantasy game, most specifically the Neverending Story. But you can use it to make any kind of world or experience that you want. So I gathered together a group of people. I was asked by Telltale Hearts and Calamity, who is an awesome streamer, who has a production company called Telltale, and they asked me to partner with them as the GM. So I chose the system, and together we both chose our cast. And Bad House is going to be producing it, so it'll be on Bad House either later this year or early next year. But yeah, it's like a love letter to 80s fantasy. So my influences are like Labyrinth, Legend, Neverending Story, of course, Lady Hawk, Dragon Slayer, Krull, just like all that 80s fantasy goodness that I tried to kind of pour into this game so it feels comfy and nostalgic.
What sort of a length are we expecting it to be? How many sessions?
5 episodes. Five episodes for the first season.
Each episode is the full session, or is it an episode?
Yeah. Each episode is a full session. Yeah, we met multiple times, so each episode is a full session. The first episode we actually had someone who had an emergency, so that's like technically 2 sessions that we're putting together, because I had like a one-off session with the person who couldn't make it. And then same with session 3. Session 3, there is we have a guest who is like our extra. He's like basically he's like a GM NPC but he's being played by an actual actor who does a fantastic job. My cast is really stacked. I don't know if I'm allowed. I'm just gonna say, because I'm like really proud. But my cast is a Mihan, who is the Rose Cleric, Blue Jay, who is a popular streamer. I've got Azrai, also a popular streamer. If you've ever seen Holy Clothing's ads, he does work with them. Then Charm Foolery. Charm is a fantastic cosplayer. And then Kai, Estella Vimladris, who is on Transplaner. So it's those folks. And then we have Calamity as one of the guests, Josephine Kim, Scary Dog Friend, as one of the guests. And then we also have Edward Spence as one of our guests. So there's a scene. Ed's wonderful. So good. I just finished a Batman game with Ed that has transformed my entire brain chemistry. I am different and changed after that game. It's so good. If you're looking for something to watch, look at Wounded Warrior Project on Twitch. Shadows of Gotham. It's awesome. But yeah, that's how I met Edward.
That one got onto my list of like, I should watch that, because I met with Ed while I was in the UK earlier this year, and he was telling me about leading up to it. He was in preparation for it, and he was telling me about it. And I was like, this sounds amazing.
Yeah,
I've yet to see Ed's GMing, but I've heard
a
lot of people who have watched it and said like he's an incredible dungeon master.
He is. He's fantastic.
And I was like, I really need to watch it. But it came at a time when I was like just really busy with filming with Viva stuff, and that's starting to come to an end now. So I'm like, okay, I'll actually start to get some of my time back, and I'll probably look at the Gotham thing that he just ran.
Yeah, our last episode was last Tuesday. And then this coming Tuesday, we're gonna have like a talkback episode, and then the season will be done. We'll be back for a second season, I imagine later in this year, early next year. It's awesome though. It's really good. It's
fun. It's fun to see to hear the cast of amazing folk that you're working with, and not have heard of them, because it kind of goes back to what I was saying about like how niche the industry is, and yet as soon as you get into it, you realize how big it is. You think people who do content creation for Dungeons and Dragons or tabletop roleplay, blah 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 blah, it must be so many. It must be like 20 people, and you get into it and you're like, oh, you can keep going and going and going and going. I just, out of my own interest, I started taking note of everybody in like a notes app on my phone, just being like, who is out there, what's like channels, what channels are out there, what YouTube channels, what Twitch channels, and I started a list, and I was like, this must be everybody. And then every day I'm like, oh no, never heard of that person, let's look them up. Oh, they've got 100,000 viewers on, okay, how am I doing this full time as a living, and even I don't hear about. There's so many people in so many avenues, so much diversity, and and it's almost disappointing, because you go, I can't watch all of your stuff, man. I don't have time. I want to. I want to watch all of them. Me. I'm like, I want to know what you're doing. I want to see your stuff. I'm like, people rave about you and how good you are, and I just don't have the time to watch it. So I'm like,
yeah.
I mean, it's literally one of the reasons that I started doing Short Rest, because I was like, I need to know who's out there and like have a moment where I can force myself to sit down and talk to somebody for 2 hours so that I can know who they are and what they're working on, and so that they can tell my audience, hey, look at what cool stuff is out there. Look. I'm never going to run out of guests for Short Rest.
No.
Because there's just constantly more people. And in a way it's fantastic, and in another way it's like it's never ending. There's so many people and I want to know what everybody's doing, but I can't possibly keep up with them. It's like painting the fourth bridge as well. Once you've finished like getting towards the end of the people you want to talk to, you'd have to go back and catch up with the people you haven't talked to in 4 years. Like, oh yeah, what have you been working on?
Yeah, it's been a really long time actually. Yeah.
Yeah, which is great because it's kind of like for the audience, they can go, oh, I can get into TTRPGs in whatever way I want because there's always going to be some flavor that works for me, some different style that I love.
That's why I feel like this is such a weird art form right now. Like it's a hobby that's been around for 50 plus years, right? Like we've been storytelling since the dawn of time. Like it's all old hat, but at the same time using this medium the way that we've been using it to tell stories that are interactive and engaging and are for public consumption and for other people to be invested in. That's something that's like relatively new. Like not a lot of people think about this when they think about like telling a story. They'll be like, oh, I have to write a play. I got to write a book. I got to make a movie, right? Like this is a whole other thing that is its own thing, right? That unique. You can tell a story. It's so unique. It's so different. So I understand why like the bar of entry is like both very high and very low simultaneously. Yeah. You know, like if you already like TTRPGs, the bar is very low. It's just more of what you like. But if you don't know about TTRPGs, but you love fantastic stories, then it's like, okay, well now I have to kind of follow what people are saying. I have to ping pong around with people to decide like who am I invested in? What are they talking? All of this is just made up. And I think it's funny talking about the Batman game because it's on the Wounded Warrior Project channel and we're raising money for veterans, right? And like I love charity streams because now that I'm a working artist, I don't have as much money as I used to be able to give away to charity. So I donate my time instead, and then I don't have to feel like I'm missing out on giving back to people. But I love that we're a charity stream. But one of the most interesting things is that it is a channel that other wounded warriors actually come to, right? They have their own community. That's just one of the ways that they happen to raise money. Like they also have like a thriving community of people that do like video game streams on off days, right? Like there's a whole other world that's not TTRPGs for that channel. So sometimes when I'm on screen like with them and we're streaming, there'll be people come into the chat who are there because they like were at watching someone play Baldur's Gate 3 last week and we're like, oh, what are you guys doing today, right? Just curious, just popping by. And they're like, so is everyone just making things up? Are there rules? What do the rules look like? How do you play this game? And then there's people in the chat that are like educating these new people on what TTRPGs are. And they're like, this is so cool. I've never tried this. Where do I find more? Right? Like actively like turning people in the chat. And it was like such a pleasure to see. Because one guy was like, okay, well, I mean, I saw somebody advertise at like my local library for this kind of thing, so I could just like join a table, and someone's like, yeah, there's start playing games, there's like other places you can go, and he's like, right, but is it going to be like this? And the person was like, no. No, this is it's like a different thing. It's like fancy, like you're not going to have your DM is not going to be Edward Spence. Unfortunately.
In the same way that like a Hollywood sex scene is not going to be exactly the same as you having sex in the privacy of your room. Like they're different things. You're going to go to a restaurant for a meal and you're going to get a home cooked meal, and there's nothing to say that one is terrible or whatever. It's like they're different things,
but they're not the same.
D&D or TTRPGs for content is a different beast to TTRPGs otherwise. Like the vast majority of people playing TTRPGs are telling stories in such a unique way because it's you are your own audience. There's nobody watching you play your home game, and so you're the writer of the story. you're the actors in the story, you're the director of deciding where the story goes, and you're the audience for the story. And in that way, it's an incredibly unique medium for telling stories, because you're just doing so with your friends, and you're the only people who are ever going to hear about it.
Yeah, but you have to have trajectory when you're doing it for a show, right? You have time constraints. You have like a limited amount of time to not just tell your story, but also make sure that everybody in the story also has room to shine, that the characters have time to gel and feel like they are like part of one scene. I feel like that was kind of the beauty of breaking Castleton up into like vignettes, into moments. Like it's definitely hard to follow if you are somebody coming from outside of all of it, right? It can be very difficult to follow. There are a lot of people, and when there are so many people, especially if you're bad with names, it's going to be rough for you, right? It's going to be challenging.
I was co-DMing it, and even I was like, who is that person? AJ would be telling me stuff, and I'd be like, I don't know who that character is. And she'd be like, oh, the so-and-so who plays so-and-so's lover in that scene of the thing. And I'm like, I mean, I have watched it, but it hasn't retained, obviously, because I can't keep 120 people in mind and their different stories and their names and things. And then you've got double the names, because you've got the character, well, triple the names usually, because you've got the character name, you've got the player's name, and then you've got the player's handle, which is often different to the player's name.
And you're like trying to juggle all of that. Well, like it's really very complicated. But I feel like when you're dealing with like a smaller production and a smaller story, it can be a little bit easier for people to dive into. And for me, like, when you're making content like that, understanding that your viewer needs to get what you are telegraphing, right? Understanding that there are callbacks that you might want to make, that there are references that you can make to previous episodes because they've been following your story, to give touchstones to the person watching. Like, that's the kind of thing that I think makes it more of an art form and more of a craft. So we're like at the very front end of people using this as a medium to tell stories, right? We've got Critical Role, Dimension 20, Viva, right? We have like, High Rollers and Oxventure out of the UK, right? We've got these people who are making the content and kind of making this, like, helping people become more familiarized with this medium as a storytelling function. But it's hard to convert those people who like the big guys into the small stuff, right? That's when you start getting into the niche, because there are a lot of people who look at the big guys and they're like, well, this is the kind of story I wish my group would tell. Right? Like, it's a system that I love, and it's a game that I love, and it's easy for me to buy into these people because they remind me of me and my friends, or I'd like to be friends with them. But when you're talking about like running a game of Quietus that no one's ever heard of, right? Like, you're kind of up against it. You're up against it when it's an indie game, if it's, something that people haven't necessarily heard of. And I think that's where like the magic is really starting to happen in this industry, are like not just seeing these overarching like D&D focused podcasts and shows kind of rising in this space, but also seeing the room that's being created for like the smaller stories as well, right? And for the different storytelling systems that people haven't really heard of.
I'm doing my best to try and gateway drug people into that as well through my work, because the channel that I work with for Viva is called Viva Lit League D&D. But the number of times that I play things with them that isn't D&D, kind of it's almost becoming like D&D is becoming like Kleenex in a way of going like, people say D&D, they mean tabletop roleplay. And so just 2 days ago, I ran a Halloween special that's obviously going to be edited and stuff and put out this Halloween, and we played Dread.
So good! Yeah, I fucking love Dread.
And in the past, I have run a one-shot with them that was basically like a modified version of Daggerheart. I've played a one-shot with them using Pathfinder. Well, I introduced them to Pathfinder just for the fun of being like, you think D&D's hard?
Oh my god!
I introduced them to the concept of Pathfinder. We didn't actually play it.
Oh my god, it's so hard.
I did a one-shot with them that was like a D6 based thing that I just created for myself. I've like a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm doing so to be like, hey, everybody watching the D&D channel, you've come to us through that, and then you see this one shot that we ran in this other system, or this one thing and this other thing. I'm trying my best to do my part in like, there's other things out there. You can find your own one.
Yeah, because I mean, it's funny because I feel like a lot of people they default to D&D, but they don't realize that there's like other systems out there that might be better. Like, my first thought for Lost in Reverie was D&D. I was like, oh, high fantasy game, D&D. That's what you use. It's over. But then I was like, yeah, but like, what would Labyrinth be if people could have just like summoned the stones for Sarah to walk across the bog, right? Because like in D&D, any druid could have solved that problem in 5 seconds, right?
Exactly.
So I was like, that's not really magical. That's magic, but it's not
Yeah.
magical, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, how do we get to magical? Which is why I chose Good Strong Hands, because that system, you have like certain powers that you can elect to have as whatever archetype you choose, whatever ancestry you choose, and then there's corruption. So basically, every time you want to use big magic, like destroy an object that's as big, that's up to as big as a house, any object, any size, you can completely destroy it. However, you have to mark shadow, because there's consequences for your actions, right? There's consequences for that big magic. And that's really what I wanted to focus on, because the story that I wanted to tell was one that was about kind of turning what we grew up with on its ear. Like a lot of queer people, a lot of people of color, a lot of disabled people saw ourselves in those 80s movies, right? Even though they're all white and they're all kind of really hetero leaning, and none of them are really about disabled people, right? There's still a story that's being told that resonates in the heart of someone who's experienced marginalization. And it also is like a mirror of like American culture too. Like in the 80s, Reagan was president and he was awful, and is responsible for a lot of the bullshit we deal with now in America, right? He did a lot of damage at that time, but people were so revved up, kind of like they are now, with like the gays and the people of color, and oh no, right? Like people were all jazzed up about that. So there was all this like art that was made that was all about tolerance and how diversity is beautiful and how we need to do better and we need to care about the earth, and right, those are all of the themes of like Fern Gully, and you know what I mean, all of these movies we grew up with. And so this is basically myself and my players and my production team going, we saw ourselves in these stories, and now we'll show you how we saw ourselves in these stories. And it's beautiful. The cast does a fantastic job. I'm super excited to share it with people. There are a lot of different things that I experimented with. Like there's some one-on-one that I did, which I really haven't done in a game before, which was fantastic. There's actually parts of it.
It's a different experience, isn't it? When you're doing like one-player TTRPGs and going, let's focus a scene on how does this work, especially if it's a TTRPG that's designed for party dynamics. Like doing it even in D&D is a really interesting experience sometimes, because you go, D&D is designed around balance, because you're expecting you've got a party of people that's gonna, because everybody's like, oh, rogues are OP or barbarians are OP, and it's like D&D is designed where every single class is OP in its thing that it can do. But then it's got huge downfalls because it's not good at this other stuff, and you're meant to fill each other out as a party. And so having one-on-one D&D can be a real interesting challenge.
Yeah, I feel like it's something that I'm definitely going to do again, because I feel like there's sometimes where, especially if you're playing in a group setting and you're trying to make sure that everybody is taken care of, and you're trying to make, like as a player, right? You're trying to make sure everyone's taken care of. You're trying to make sure you're making opportunities for other people. There can be a real pull to kind of fall back because you're trying to push everyone forward. So when you get a player by themselves and it's just them, they have to kind of guide the story, right? Like it's kind of up to them to tell me where they want to go. They're driving. And I find that there's a certain amount of like freedom that comes with that, especially for like a shy player. I had a couple of players that were a little shy that would, talk a little less, or, take a moment to think about what they were going to say, since it was pre-recorded and everything. And I found that once we did the one-on-ones, it like snapped them to attention. There was another player I was working with that wasn't really sure who their character was. Like they came up with a cool character, but they were like, I don't know what she's doing in this world. Like there has to be something that she's doing and I can't figure it out. I can't crack it. So I gave her like a bunch of avenues. And when we did the one-on-one, she was like, oh, this is my purpose. Like found it right away. Like right away found it. It was beautiful. So I'm really, really excited for this show. I really hope people like it. I'm trying to get a second season off the ground. When I wrote it, I knew that the story was going to be too big for one season. And I wanted to get buy-in from my players so that they would be invested, because the story is like, and there's a next phase of the story that's going to require them to fight for this place that's not their home. So I was like, we got to like get you in the society. Like this can't be one of those where like the humans come and isekai in to this world and they become avatars, right? Like that's we're not doing blue people supremacy. We're not doing that. The blue people can save themselves, and you can also come and help them save themselves, right? That's the energy we're going for in this game. But yeah, I'm really excited for that. Hopefully it'll come out soon and people will dig it.
When would be soon? When are we expecting that people might be able to watch it?
Probably Q4 of this year, if not first thing next year. It'll depend on what's going on with Bad House. Bad House is great. They are a POC led TTRPG production company. They actually started the very first all Asian cast of Vampire the Masquerade called Itaewon by Night. So if you like World of Darkness, definitely take a look at them for that. But yeah, they're really cool. My friend Fabs and Josephine, they both head up Bad House, and they make really nice content. Lots of World of Darkness stuff, lots of very interesting stuff. Their artwork is always beautiful. They don't have enough eyes on them, so please go look at Bad House RPG because they're cool and great. And then if you guys want to see me run Thirsty Sword Lesbians on the 24th of this month, I will be on Chaotic Wholesome doing that. Got a really awesome cast for that together. And then on the 27th, I'll be on the Women of D&D channel for their 5th anniversary. Danny Carr from Critical Role is running a table, and I will be there playing some Thirsty Sword Lesbians. So
awesome. Love that.
Yeah.
I love the interactions we've had in Thirsty Sword Lesbians as well.
So good.
When you were introduced to the Woods Tales production of it. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
It's a real fun system. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, it's really good.
I think it's something that I'd love to give another go, because I don't feel like I understood, like I don't feel like I delved into the strings elements of the system as much as I would like. So something that I'll give another go at some point.
Yeah.
And then like far future blue sky project, like where do you want to be with Candace the Magnificent? What's the strive? Owning a toy shop? That's the
definitely owning a toy company. Definitely being a consistent voice actor who books gigs. If that could turn into actual like stage acting or like film, that'd be cool. I don't live in a place that's very accessible for that kind of thing, but if that's in the cards,
there's
that'd be awesome.
There's not a huge film scene in South Florida.
Horrible. But I think also something that I would really like is getting to a place where I can like continue to give back to people. I think that again, like we're all kind of in this space where we are kind of making the rules up as we go with TTRPG as content and as performance that's being taken seriously. And I would like to continue to push that envelope, but also try to get people like in behind me as well. There's a real energy that isn't really something that I think people talk about a lot, which is like what's for us and what's not for us. And I feel like that's a conversation that we need to kind of update. A lot of people look at a table that's like an all Asian table, right? They'll look at Itaewon by Night and go, that's not for me. I'm not Asian, right? Yeah. And it's like, word, you're not Asian. I'm not Asian. I watch that show, right? Yeah. What I get out of it is perspectives outside of my own, right? I'm not Asian. So I don't know what it's like to be Asian or Korean specifically, because that's where it takes place, right? Like I would like to know that. I would like to understand that point of view. And I'm having both this educational moment while I watch that show as well as an entertainment one. And I think that's something that I hope more people start to embrace. People of color and queer people, like Transplaner, that's an all trans cast. That's majority POC as well. Their work is fantastic. Connie Chong is a fantastic GM, one of the best in the industry. They've been on the Adventuring Academy with Brennan Lee Mulligan on Dimension 20. They've been in games and have been mentored by Matt Mercer. He's fantastic. Like Connie is a powerhouse and deserves like all of the flowers. So I would love to see people open up outside of their comfort zone to seek out more of those stories. Jasper, my colleague from Three Black Halflings, he's been on both Dimension 20 and now Critical Role. He's the first non-Critical Role participant to actually do a show for their channel. He just finished Thresher, which is a 2-parter that he did in the Candela Obscura system. It was fantastic. When I went to the premiere, a lot of the fans were like really weirdly intolerant because they were just like, who are these people? I don't know these people. Right, these people are trash. Like, who are these? You know? But it's like, those are people that your favorite people have hired to be on their channel. Yeah. They trust this person. So maybe open your mind, right? Open your mind up. You don't know, just because there's a bunch of people of color and, you know, a trans woman at the table doesn't mean that you have nothing to take from that. Doesn't mean you have nothing to learn. And there are a lot of really beautiful stories that are being told. And worlds that are being created that might not be what you necessarily think that you think of when you think of what you want to watch, but will still bring you a great deal of joy and a great deal of happiness, and maybe even some education as well.
Seeing the discomfort of watching an all Asian female cast,
yeah,
you're really opened to what the point has been the whole time. The whole point of representation and the whole point of trying to have somebody in this that you, if you feel discomfort at that, then you go, okay, now imagine you're not a white man and you're watching movies through the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and
yes.
all you're seeing are straight, mononormative, able-bodied white
yes.
men. And the whole point has been exactly what you're feeling. Like if you're not seeing yourself represented up there, and you're feeling upset about it, that's what we're saying. This is we need, and it's not tokenism to be like, oh, we need to have a whatever. I was talking with the Viva guys about the fact that they are all straight white guys, and they are painfully aware of the fact that their content has always been straight white guys, just like because that was their friends. It was them and their friends making content, and it just started that way. And I constantly have to bring to them, like, we need to have some sort of diversity in this cast. We need to think about like casting outside of ourselves. And they're trying to make moves in that direction. But there were obviously the conversation came up, and Ben said the amount of comments, like negative comments we get on our videos and negative interactions we get on our videos just for having. He says the worst example was recently they had a one of their sketch comedies on their main channel, and it was an episode where they just had a black actor, and the sketch wasn't about him being black. It was nothing about it. It wasn't about even being in man or whatever. It was just he was just an actor that they hired who happened to be black, and the comments were like, "Oh fuck it, even Viva's gone woke." Just for hiring a guy who happens to be a black guy. What the fuck is the world that like? And unfortunately, that's a lot of their audience. Like generally speaking, on the whole, Viva comment sections are actually not the worst cesspit on YouTube. But occasionally, when we do something in the D&D actual play that I run with them, the one that's 5 years and running, there was a thing maybe a year or two back where one of the characters, one of the NPCs that they were meeting, happened to mention just offhand, my fathers won't be too happy about blah blah blah, and one of the guys at the table went, "Did you say fathers?" And I was like, "Yeah, fathers." And he goes, "Oh." And then one of the other guys kind of jumped on it and went, "Oh, is that not okay, Ben?" And he goes, "No, it's fine. It's not a thing you normally hear. I wanted to clarify if she said fathers." And he was like, "Yeah, fine." And then the comments were like, "Oh, fucking woke and fucking." And I was like, it wasn't a point. This character,
nobody
NPC
was trying to make a point, man.
This NPC has been in the character, and since I created the NPC and all of the family around this NPC, she has had two fathers. And it's never been a problem before because it had never come up in conversation before. The moment it came up in conversation, now it's like, oh, he's trying to push woke agenda. And I just went through the comments and been like, yeah, I've always been woke, fuck off. Like, basically, oh, Rob's gone woke. Oh, I've been woke for the whole time. If you don't like it, get out.
That's what's so wild for me making content is people like, I'm like, are you going to tell me that I'm woke? Because I'm pretty sure just me being here is, I guess, woke.
Just
me
existing. Your existence, yeah. I will say that. So to get a little... from my perspective of what we were talking about, like get yourself out there and watch these other things and like introduce yourself to these other stories. I'll say that sometimes I try to do that myself, knowing full well that I'm a straight white man. And sometimes I'll watch something going, it's difficult for me to find a way to feel like I'm allowed to be here because I'm not another minority that's not represented. I am I'm representative of the majority. And the oppressive patriarchy and the oppressive white supremacy kind of, I'm somebody who has benefited from those privileges, and so I'm in this space now, feeling like a guy walking into a woman's toilets, if that makes sense. Going like, I don't know if I'm allowed to be here because this is your safe space, and this is a space that you've cultivated for yourself. But if I'm not allowed to be here, if I'm not allowed to be here as a straight white man, am I ever going to get an understanding of how to better represent your stories when I'm telling stories of my own?
Yeah. I think that when that moment hits, I feel like what you said just a moment ago about like, well, this is how everybody else feels for all of the
Yeah.
stuff that's been made for the past 100 years, right? We've been doing content and
Yeah.
media and stuff. I feel like that's kind of the energy. I remember talking to somebody online, and they were complaining about the Assassin's Creed Shadows game, right?
Hmm.
And how they hate that they have to play as either a black guy or a woman, right?
Right.
Because there's a Japanese woman and a black man. And I was like, well, I mean, you don't mind playing as an Italian man. Are you Italian?
Mm-hmm.
And he was
Mm-hmm.
like, I wouldn't play as an Italian man. That's not what I would pick. I said, okay, so you've never played a Nintendo game? He was like, that's different. I'm like, not really. You're playing as a little fat Italian plumber with a little mustache.
Mhm.
Like he's absolutely a white Italian man
Yeah.
who, for all intents and purposes, is cis and straight. He
Mhm.
loves the princess. She's blonde and has blue
Yeah.
eyes. I mean, that's a pretty normal story for
Mhm.
white America, right? For white culture all over the world, right? That's pretty normal. That's something that you have been fine with. You're fine with Samus Aran, despite the fact that Samus is a woman because she's in a cool
Yeah.
suit. So you don't have to actually acknowledge the fact that she's a
Yeah.
woman. Like, this has been a part of our everyday society for forever, right? Literally forever. The only reason it's a problem now is because you have to acknowledge why it's happening, right? You have to commiserate with people that you feel like you can't connect with. But like for me, I connect with white, straight, cis man culture 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? And there's a lot of things that I feel like I'm not supposed to be there for, right? I remember when the Man Show was on TV, I used to watch that and just be like, I'm out of my depth. I don't know what this is. I don't know, man. There's certain television shows that I watch that I'm just like, this is not an invitation. But then there are other shows that are all white that feel like a hug. It feels like an invitation. So like
Yes.
Downton Abbey. Downton Abbey
Right.
is my favorite show about white people. It's awesome. It's fantastic. It's about love and harmony and family and acceptance and, the early 20th century. It's gorgeous. And there are people of color in it eventually when they should be there, but that was a mostly white space. There shouldn't be black people or Indian people or anybody shoehorned in there because we weren't really in those spaces, right? Don't give me that. I want to see black elves. I want to see black people in Game of Thrones, right? I want to see black people in Lord of the Rings. Like, I want to see black people in completely made up places. Final Fantasy, right? This is not based in any historical context whatsoever.
Yeah.
There are all kinds of people here. That's where I want to see the change. So when it comes to like finding yourself in those positions where you're like, I'm not sure if I should be here, the thing that I'll say is when I make content, and I've made content that is very soft and very lighthearted and fun and doesn't delve into any serious issues whatsoever. It's just cute and sweet and you can fuck off after, right? But I've also done some stuff that's been hard. Yeah. I've done some stuff that's been confrontational. I've done some stuff that's been, activism as art. And in those moments, the people that are making that art, they know that you want to watch. They know that you might want to watch. Yeah. They make it so that you can watch it and hope that you do, because getting the word out there and cutting down those barriers is what's going to make it that much easier for their stuff and your stuff to be better and to be made again and again and again, right? To like share the wealth of the attention. Because if you look at the biggest guys, what do they all have in common? They're mostly white, right? That's where people are spending their money, on those stories and on those people. And that's okay. You can have your faves, right? Have your faves. We all have faves. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like Brennan Lee Mulligan, you can't deny that he and Matt Mercer are fantastic at what they do, right? They just also happen to be cis straight white men, right? And whatever, it's fine. Like, it's okay to be a cis straight white man. Nobody is saying that's a problem. It's just that everybody else has to apologize in our society for being different and not being that. Yeah. So for me, if you feel that discomfort, lean into it. Lean into it. Know that this discomfort is happening because you don't have enough exposure to these people. The more you're exposed to these people, the less discomfort you'll feel. Like, my nesting partner is white. And when I met him, one of the things that made me very comfortable is that he had dated women, femmes of color before. So I didn't really have to like start him from the ground up.
You weren't going to be tutorial.
Right. And like, I'm not, it's not as though every white person that I date, because there's been a lot of white people that I've dated, it's just by virtue of the industry that I'm in, right? It's a mostly white space. Yeah. I meet a lot of white people. But like, I feel like when I do have to educate someone, I don't mind, because I care about that person, and I'd rather educate them than have them walk around with me and not be educated.
As long as you can trust that you're not the sole point of their education. That you are now representing everything that they know about black culture, or
that part,
non-binary culture. Like, you're not.
Are
like,
you now curious?
You're now. Yeah. Are they going? oh, I'm curious. I'm also learning from these other things. I'm also watching this. I'm also expanding my mind in these things.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
If I meet a friend who has, I met a friend that had bipolar disorder, right? Bipolar 2. And I was like, I've never had a friend who has bipolar. So I asked them about their experience. They downloaded me on what they need and
Yeah.
how it's affected their life and, what they do whenever they're having, an episode or something like that. Right. And they gave me some helpful tips on, things like articles that I could read. And then I went out and did my own research because I want to make sure I can be the best friend to them that I
Yes.
can. I want to support them.
Yeah.
And for me, I think a lot of why people are weird about wokeness and woke culture and all this stuff is because people are afraid to mess up. They're afraid to fuck up. They're afraid they're going to get called
Yeah.
out. They're afraid they're going to get canceled, right? And to me, it's like, rather than being afraid of getting canceled, instead prepare for the day when you fuck up to accept that fuck up with grace.
Yeah.
Right? Accept the fuck up with grace. Apologize. Acknowledge you're not perfect. Move on. Right?
I can say from experience that it is a lot easier to regulate through anger than through embarrassment.
Yes.
And so it's, if you have fucked up, it's a lot more tempting to reach for defensiveness and anger than to acknowledge than through acknowledgement and embarrassment and guilt.
Yes.
Those are much less enjoyable emotions to sit with.
1,000%.
Much harder.
But like I feel like
I work on actively through therapy as well, because I've noticed that I have a lot of defensive tendencies and I'm getting better at understanding my own emotions. I'm kind of struggling with my own journey through an autism diagnosis at the moment, and with that alexithymia as well, which is difficulty understanding and regulating emotions and naming emotions and stuff. And so I'm sitting a lot with, like, why do I feel angry? And quite often it comes down to, because this minor thing that happened made me feel embarrassed, because I realized, because I thought for whatever reason, you can always attribute something to your childhood. You go, because of this thing that happened that ended up being a foundational thing, I now don't feel confident failing even in small things. And so if I've screwed up in this small way, I feel really bad and embarrassed and guilty, which makes me feel like I need to just be angry and like justify why it happened, and then that leads into, and it's difficult. And if that is made, and I think a lot of the problem is that sometimes when these safe spaces come up for minority voices that are a bit more exclusionary to the majority voices, and then people are kind of on the border of maybe they want to reach out and learn about these things, but then they immediately start to feel like they're being attacked, and they don't. And sometimes it is because they're being attacked because it's not being talked about well, but sometimes it's not. They're not being attacked. It's just that your defensiveness is coming up because you're meant to feel
correct,
like you should have always been in the right.
It's all about that perception, but that's why I think watching really helps and really matters, because like Orientalism, that's a huge problem that like we don't really talk about, right? Like there's a whole model minority myth with Asian American people here. I'm sure that that's probably something that is rampant throughout the world, right? I don't think it's just Americans that have that issue, where it's this assumption that like Asian people are not going to get as upset as like a black person will if you insult them, right? Things like that, because black people obviously to people in their minds are inherently over emotional, right? Same with Latine people and Hispanic people, right? There's lots of stereotypes.
There's stereotypes about like, they wear their heart on the sleeve, they're passionate,
right?
They're an emotive people.
But the reality, right, when you actually get down to it, like for me, I struggle with that kind of thing because I'm aware that people think that of me. So then I have to go into every situation like, don't get too upset because they're going to call you angry. And once they call you angry, no one will listen to you, right? Same thing with an Asian person. I have a very close friend of mine who's half Scottish and half Asian, half Korean. And she has a very hard time because people tend to fetishize her and will practice Orientalism, not realizing that that's what they're doing. They think that they're appreciating her culture, but they're actually appropriating her culture and trying to overtalk her on points because they watched K-pop Demon Hunters one time, right? So there's this lack of understanding that leads to those really hard moments that might not happen if we consumed more of each other's content and got a groundwork, like a ground framework to build from with one another to understand. Because like so much of stereotyping of this woke nonsense and whatever, it's all fear mongering. It's all scary because, I don't really know any. I live in the Midwest in America. I have no black friends. I live in Northern England. I have no black friends. I live, in an area wherever, then there's just no black people here. So for some people, the only Black people that they know are the ones that are online, right?
Yeah.
And in those situations, it can be really hard to get the truth and the reality of somebody's life. But when I was watching Itaewon, for example, like, I didn't have any questions about that because they were telling me, right?
Yeah.
All of their characters are built with the framework of, I am an Asian person in Korea. I am either Korean or from outside this community, but I'm still an Asian person. This is what this world means to me. This is what vampirism looks like to me. This is how I incorporate my ancestors into my current world, right? That's something that's huge. Like, if you're watching K-pop Demon Hunters, to use that brand new movie as an example, like, a lot of people are like, there's a dance scene at the end called that's to a song called Your Idol, and they dress in the traditional hanbok is the traditional Korean garb, right, with a hat,
Right.
and it's like a really beautiful fancy robe and everything that they wear. It's absolutely stunning and very beautiful. The average person doesn't know what that's called because they haven't bothered to like look it up. They're just kind of taking from this moment and then bringing that home with them.
Right,
And it's just this one little snapshot rather than understanding the people that it comes from and why it is important. So I think that, like, TTRPGs is one place where you're dealing with actual individuals rather than a team and a production company and then a studio head and fucking a marketing team, right? And all of these other things that you have to kind of work your way through to get to what the director and the writer and the actors were actually trying to say. You just have that right up there on Front Street in TTRPGs. So to me, that's like the easiest way to get a glimpse into what someone else is going through, how someone else thinks, how someone else reacts to the world around them. And in that, you can find a lot of differences, but I think the most important thing you can find is a commonality. You know, like the day that I got called out, I was called in rather than called out. I said something that was a joke that ended up being anti-Semitic that I did not know was anti-Semitic.
Right.
I had heard someone who was Jewish say it, actually.
Right.
And I didn't realize that it wasn't meant for me to repeat.
Yes,
I didn't know that was a stereotype.
That's the thing that's a bit of nuance that a lot of people fail to realize.
Yes.
Is like sometimes the joke is about your culture and the joke is like the thing that we're laughing at is how absurd it is for you to be able to say that
Right.
about yourself, and
Yeah.
some things
So-
can be reclaimed by that culture and
Right.
not be okay for other people to then repeat.
And that was the situation. And so I said the thing that I said. It wasn't an obvious one. It wasn't something that like everybody knows is anti-Semitic. Half the people in the audience were like, what, really? But somebody had messaged the producer behind the scenes and was like, hey, I know Candace's heart. Like, I know them and I follow them. They didn't mean this. I know they didn't mean this. I know that they genuinely probably have no idea, but I'm letting you know so you can tell them just in case I know that they'd want to know. Which is true. I always want to know. If I fucked up and I've hurt somebody, I want to know right away so we can have a conversation about it. I tend to get more embarrassed finding out someone was silent when I hurt them than someone just being like, you hurt me. And then I can go, I'm so sorry. And we can talk, right?
Yeah.
So I was on camera. It was live. We were in a charity stream. We came back from break. He had just told me about it. And I was like, I have to say something. And he's like, it's not a big deal. No one noticed. I was like, someone noticed. Someone said something. How do you know someone else isn't out there hurt, right? Someone else might be upset. So I called myself in. I was like, hey guys, I just want to let you know this thing that I said previously. I'm so sorry to anybody who knows that this is anti-Semitic. Anyone who doesn't know, we're learning today. This is super embarrassing. I am mortified. I will never say that again. I'm so sorry. I really hope you can accept my apology. I'm going to excuse myself off camera. Please keep going. April Kit Walsh, the creator of Thirsters or Lesbians, was the DM that day. So it was like, Katie Osaurus was at the table. B. Zelda was at the table. Like, it was a big day. Yeah. And I was like, oh God, you fucked everything. You shit the bed. So I turned my camera off and I left because I didn't want to make anybody like have to deal with my pain. Because it's like, I hurt someone, right?
Because,
I'm not going to
that's
like,
the other problem of like,
tears.
If you are like, I'm the one who's messed up, and then I'm putting it on you to now feel like you have to forgive me, and
right. So I was like, let me separate myself. So I went away for a little bit. I think it was like 5 minutes and then another 5 to like tidy up my makeup again. And then I played the rest of the game. And like when I came back to the chat, I looked at it for a second because I was like, maybe they don't want me to come back. Like, they probably hate me. Like, so that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a whole bunch of white dudes out there that are like, I can't talk to queer people like that. I can't talk to POC. They're going to hate me. Oh, POC, queer, happened to me. I was like, they're going to hate me, right? I can't go back out there. And in the chat, people were like, that was a really great learning experience. I'm so glad Candace said something. I look to them for information. They really have wonderful things to say. I'm like, don't talk about how great I am right now. This sucks. Like, I fucked up, guys. Like, please hold me accountable. But people were like, what was nice was that I was able to realize that my audience knows me. They know that I wouldn't do something like that on purpose, that nobody felt victimized or targeted. They were glad to have the knowledge. The people who didn't know, the people who did know were like, thank you for saying something. I was a little worried and it would have probably counted against you. I'm not a person who loves confrontation, and it would have been hard for me to say something. So thank you for saying something, right? Like, and it was a moment that ended up being a community moment, even though I was embarrassed, y'all. Like for 2 weeks, I was not okay. Like it sat with me for 2 weeks and I was just in it. And it can be extremely painful, but like, to me, it was such a wonderful and lucky moment because now I'm on the other side of that. And it has made me much more empathetic. And it's made it easier for me now to be told that I've fucked up, right? Because I've done it. Like I did it in real time and nothing bad happened. So next time, if I fuck up, because I'm a human being and we fuck up, hopefully that'll be what I experience this next time as well, right? Where I can
it's one of the things
hold
that
on
a
to
lot
it
of
even
people
less.
fail to recognize when they talk angrily about political correctness and woke culture and cancel culture, and you can't say anything or blah blah blah. You say one thing and you'll get cancelled, and it's like that's not the case. That's never been the case. Nobody's ever got cancelled for saying one thing. People have gotten cancelled, quote unquote, for saying one thing and then doubling down on it, and then pushing back and trying to defend why it was okay that they said it, and then saying it again, and then using that for comedy in their next special, and referring back to how they can't say anything anymore and blah blah blah. And then as they say, oh, we're getting cancelled and we can't say anything anymore on a podcast to millions of people. Like nobody's getting cancelled in this regard. These people will always continue to find their audience, and if they choose to fuck up and then double down, that's the problem. It's not that they fucked up and then we hit them with pitchforks.
Yeah, and I think that that's something that a lot of people just kind of can't get their head around. Like, I recognize the importance of allyship. Right? Like nobody won freedom just by themselves. Right? No one won the vote for their gender or for their race or ethnicity by themselves, right? Allyship is something that really matters. Like together as human beings, we are capable of doing far more and far better than we are just siloed, right? And to me, we're at a time where people who are in charge of a lot of us, nation and worldwide, right, are aiming to divide and conquer because it's easier when we're not sticking up for each other. We're easier to kind of like sheep. You're easy. If you herd one sheep off, you can fucking take it out. But if you have like a flock of sheep, you're not getting all of them.
Yeah.
So that's very much the energy that I feel like we're seeing worldwide at this time globally. And I feel like the more that we seek out each other's stories, the more that we try to be inclusive in our storytelling and mindful in how we deal with one another, the higher the quality of art and higher quality of living we're all going to be able to experience. Because like for me, my life would be very different without the white masculine person that's in my life, right? Like one of many, but specifically my partner, right? Specifically my stepfather, right? There are a lot of white people who have helped make me who I am. And granted, does that change the fact that I'm Black? No, right? I'm still Black and I love who I am. But it does mean that when I'm in moments where I have moments where I'm doubting myself or I'm having a hard time connecting to somebody, I can go to someone else and ask for a second opinion, because there's always going to be a blind spot that I have because I'm not that. There's always going to be a blind spot. And that's me as a POC, as a queer person, as a trans person, as a disabled person. I am always going to have a blind spot at some point because I don't know what it's like to be you, right? I have to rely on what you have to say or what people like you have to say to guide me to make sure that I do the right thing. It's the same for white guys.
Yeah. And it has to be acknowledged that it's different for every person as well. Like you can speak to 10 different white guys and you'll get 10 different points of view.
Right.
You have to have the representation of not just like putting all things onto one person. Oh, well, my Black friend says that it's okay, so therefore I'm allowed to say it. Like, well, your Black friend might genuinely be okay with it. They might also just be non-confrontational and not okay with you saying it, but just haven't mentioned it because it's not worth the fight. But maybe even if they are okay with you saying it, that doesn't mean that everybody else is okay with you saying it, or that sort of thing.
And understanding that people are people, right? Like there is nothing that white people hate more than being lumped together into like one giant monolith. And it's like, okay, but what are you doing to everyone else?
What are you doing to everybody else?
Right? What is everybody else doing? Because we're all out here like not all the same. We want to talk to you. So yeah, I think being open is something that and I see our culture heading in that direction. Like I see like pop culture, especially like socially, I feel like we're heading in the right direction. Politically, not so much, but socially, I see us heading in that direction. which is wonderful because I feel like the more people that you have telling stories, the more opportunities you have, again, to learn about people and views outside of your own, but also to celebrate your stories more deeply and to celebrate your triumphs and your own personal growth more deeply.
I find that one of the great things about TTRPGs is the ability to do that, and for me to
Yeah.
put on different characters to explore different lives and what it would be like. And yet there's some hesitation when it comes to race that there isn't when it comes to sex or sexuality, I think, as well. Because if I was a player in a TTRPG, I would be perfectly happy playing a woman or a femme character. I'd be perfectly happy playing a gay character or an asexual character. I would not feel comfortable playing a guy that I was describing as black or Asian in the same way, even though I'm no less Asian than I am femme.
Right.
but there's one thing that I'm okay being like, oh, I'm happy to explore what it might be like for my character to be femme, but I wouldn't be happy to explore what it's like for my character to be Asian. But from external pressures, I feel, because from the personal pressures, I like if I was in a home game, I would be perfectly happy exploring what it would be like to play a black character or an Asian character in something. But I don't feel like that would be acceptable or accepted by an audience. And I've experienced that myself in some of my my streams. I used to do a channel point redemption called Attempt an Accent, because as a voice actor, fascinated with accents. I'm really like, I listen out for them, and it's kind of a party trick. I can usually pick out like somebody's history from like what accents and what tones they're using and stuff, and I'm like, oh, you've got Northern Irish heritage, but you've got a lot of American influence, and so this and this and this and blah blah blah. So I'm pretty good with accents. And there's a website called the International Dialects of English Archive that just has all of the dialects of English in it. And you can listen to all sorts of different people from doing this accent or that accent, and people used to be able to redeem channel points to be like, do a Swedish one and try doing Finnish and try doing this and that and the other. And then once or twice people would redeem like, oh, try Japanese. And I would approach it in the exact same way. I would go to the website, I'd listen to them speaking, I'd close my eyes and I'd really listen, and I'd go, okay, the phoneme there and this and that and the other. The word that they're using for the vowel sound of bath is more of an a than it is an r. It's bath, it's not bath. That's interesting. The way that they're rounding their r's, is it a rhotic r, like a retroflexive one? Is it rounded? Is it not? And I analyze it, and I do the same way if I was doing Finnish or if I was doing Japanese. But when I went to do Japanese, people in my chat were like, don't do that. And I was like, I won't, because I feel like I wouldn't be accepted doing it. But I don't understand the distinction personally between why it wouldn't be okay for me to do that and it would be okay for me to do French. I'm less Japanese than I am French, but it's okay because I could pass as French, but I couldn't pass as Japanese.
So two things. The one thing, you saying that you would rather play someone outside of your race in a home game than publicly. I completely agree with that. I think the only time that I've been okay with someone playing outside of their race in a streamed game is when the person that they are playing is the same race as the person who's telling the story. Because then you have guardrails, right? Like I know 3BH has definitely had, there's a white player named Johnny who's fantastic, great player. And he played a black person in one of the streams for 3BH on 3BH. And again, you're under the guidance of all of these black people at the table that are going to tell you if you're fucking up, right?
You're gonna be like,
so you know if you're fucking up.
Dude. Yeah.
Yeah. But like a lot of those situations are like, it's an all white table and two of the characters are brown, right? The players aren't brown, just the characters are. So you've got nothing but what this collection of white people know about brown people.
Yeah.
That is all going into this one person's performance, right?
Yes.
That's when it gets complicated because you don't have anyone guiding you. There's no one to reference, to look back at like, hey, right? Like queers are pretty much everywhere. If you're at a TTRPG table in 2025, someone's probably at least a little bit gay. So like if you're dealing with like a queer storyline and a queer narrative, there will be someone who will go, my brother's gay, don't do that. Or, hey, my sister's trans, don't do that, right? They'll be able to steer you, but you don't have that steering when it comes to another race. What you were saying about doing the Japanese accent, right? So obviously we've discussed, I'm a voice actor. There are certain websites where you can hear other people's auditions for characters, for roles. And I have gone out for roles, and it's complicated with Black Americans because obviously, like, we are from Africa, but also we're brought to America, and honestly, even Black British people, certain people in different colonies throughout the globe, if you were brought there through slavery, you have a very different relationship with that home country than someone else might. So like, I don't have a relationship to Africa that is, more than 300 years new, right? That's how long it's been since my family has been anywhere near Africa. So like, when I study and I research West African or East African or Nigerian or South African accents, right? When I do that study, just like you were saying, going to the website, listening to the intonation, listening to the way that it sounds, I'm not coming with stereotypes. But what I've noticed is a lot of white actors who don't take their craft seriously. Like, you're a linguistics nerd, right? Like, it's clear that you're digging into, like, the rhotic R, and you're digging into the actual phonics of the language and of the language, the linguistics presentation of whoever is speaking. That's very different than the average person. The average person deals in stereotypes. And I know this because I have to see white actors go for roles that I go for that have either Black AAVE, like American English vernacular, like African American vernacular English, or are like West African or some kind of African dialect. And they are almost never well researched. They are almost always extra. Same with Asian accents as well, Japanese accents especially, because people are like, I watch anime, I can do it. That's as far as they go, right? They don't go any further than that. They're just like, I can do it. I'm going to say yata in a certain way and people are going to love it, right? But like, just like Hank Azaria doing Apu, right? Are there Indian people that kind of sound like Apu? A little bit, but not that exaggeration, right? That's a stereotype. The person that they have playing Apu now that's Indian doesn't really sound like that. He still has an Indian accent, but he doesn't sound like that, right? And I've heard some really... It's horrible because the person probably went into it thinking that they're a nice person. That's always the first right of refusal is like, well, I'm a nice person. That's the first thing people say. I'm nice. Okay, you can be nice all you fucking want. That doesn't mean that you are not sitting under the umbrella of white supremacy. I'm sitting under the umbrella of white supremacy. You damn sure are, right? If I'm in it,
you can be nice
so
and ignorant. You can be nice and naive.
You absolutely can. And I think a lot of people
cause harm.
Yes, and I think that that's something that people don't recognize, which is why they get so angry when they're called out or called in, right? Is because like they're like, but I'm nice, I could never. And it's like, okay, but I mean, are you always trying to hurt people when you hurt them? Because I know when I hurt people, I'm not trying to hurt them. I'm almost never trying to hurt a person that I hurt. Right? So I don't know about you.
How many times in your life have you hurt someone by meaning to hurt them versus how many times you accidentally hurt someone?
Like, I'm never out to hurt somebody. Yeah. So like, it's hard because like I would go and listen. I'd see who else auditioned, because sometimes a person will say, I only want people of this race to audition. I only want people of this ethnicity to audition. It'll be specific. But if it's not specific, there's like a million white people auditioning for that role with whatever they think the accent is that's being asked. And it's rough. Like, it's rough because it tells me, oh, this is what you think of me. Like, this is what you think of people who look like me. This is how you think I sound. And with me, it's especially difficult because I don't speak AAVE unless I'm like around my family who's speaking that way. For the most part, I sound like this. So then there's a lot of roles that I don't get because I don't sound Black enough, because the person has stereotypes in mind as to how people that are Black sound, right? The other day I was turned down for a role because I sounded Black, and the person didn't want the character I was auditioning for dies in the first episode of the audio drama. And they were like, I don't want to kill my only Black actor. So I just went with someone else instead, even though you were the best person for the job. And it's like, do you realize that's still discrimination, though?
But you just, God, I can definitely see their position of going like, rock in a hard place. I discriminate against the actor for not giving them the role so that I don't then get flack for like killing off my only Black actor, like fridging them.
And it's like,
whatever.
Okay, I get it, but also, how did you know I was Black? They were like, oh, you just have a really rich tone of voice. I was like, this is very offensive. But I appreciate you at least being honest with me. Like, so there's moments like that happen all the time. With you, I don't think I would have steered you away from that knowing what your process was like. But anyone who doesn't understand your process, I'm sure they were just like, I don't want Rob to get canceled.
That's kind
what
of
am I going to do if Rob gets canceled?
That's kind of why it annoyed me at the time, is because it came at the end of this, like, I'd done a whole stream where I was doing all these different voices and somebody suggested Japanese and I went to do it and they were like, if you've been here for even half an hour, you should know that I'll be approaching this with the exact same method as I did with anything else. And just because I look like this shouldn't negate the fact that I can try what a Japanese accent sounds. Because I could have been born in Japan and been raised with that accent, and I would actually have a natural accent of that, and then it wouldn't be racist. But then because it's not my natural accent, it's racist. I think that's the problem that I find, is like the lack of nuance within the people who are like, so if being on the left and liberal is their like main identity, and they don't put a lot of thought into what it is about the progressiveness that is actually the important part, and instead it's just like, oh, that person's doing this, so therefore it's bad. Going, is it bad? Like the way that they're doing it is bad? Is what they're doing or what they're saying, is that a bad thing just because they're saying it? Or is it the way that they're saying, or the meaning behind it, or the implications, or the wider systemic racism that's inherent to it? Then maybe there's issues there. But I think there's more nuance than the left are often willing to go into.
It robs you of being able to have a conversation, right?
Yeah.
Having a conversation about that. Like, you could have had a conversation about what your process was like, the reason that the way that you feel about doing it. You understand that this is probably not something that you would recommend the average person to do. If anyone finds this offensive, let's open up a dialogue, right? You could have opened the door instead of just shutting it down. And I think that that's something that I see as well, is like, again, I'm never going to like look a gift horse in the mouth. There's white liberals out there that want to fight for my rights. Fight for them, please. I could use the help. We could all use the help. Come on in, right? But there are also those same white liberals that will overtalk you. Right. I had to talk about somebody who had fucked me up in the space. I had dated this person. I had a bad experience, and I needed to say something for the other people of color, because they were actively recruiting people of color to their channel. And I was like, I was the person that they were about to use to get their street cred. Right. So they're going to be looking for another person of color to invite other POC on their channel. And I need to say something. So I said something, and I tried to not make it about the person, because it really wasn't about that person. Right. It was more about, vet your tables, like vet the people you're talking to, really ask the hard questions, because I thought I had asked the hard questions, and it turned out that was not the case. I was very soft on crime because that person made me think that I was talking to somebody who understood, but they're very nice. They're a nice person. So they were like, I don't need to do this work. I'm nice. I'm never going to hurt somebody's feelings. But like, there was a lot of stuff that went down that was not good, right? That was very bad for me as a POC. With this person in my life. And when I called them out, it wasn't about the person. I wasn't trying to make an example of them. I wasn't trying to like make their life more difficult. I was just saying, know what you're going into, because there have been so many situations where I've walked into working with a white collaborator who was not prepared at all to give me the credit that I was owed for what I had done for their channel, right? They wanted to undermine my efforts. They wanted to, because, their ego was bigger than I needed to take up space in their minds, right? Where I'm like, I'm not trying to take up space. I'm just trying to like measure my success, which includes what I've done for you, right? Like, I'm not trying to take anything from you, but there's this real misunderstanding of taking things from people, right? Even like suggesting that people, expand outside of Critical Role, expand outside of like the big guys, right? There are some people who are like, oh, you just want to take your views away from them? Not at all. I'm saying stop watching fucking Love Island and watch my show instead. That's what I'm saying, right? I'm not saying don't watch Critical Role. Keep watching that. That's your shit. That's your jam. Love it. Awesome. Great, right? But if you have $5 extra a month, don't spend it on a Peacock subscription, right? Spend it doing the Patreon of a POC channel that you want to see grow and tell new stories, right? Like, it's all about allocating your time and your thoughts. And I think that there are a lot of people who just don't want to have those conversations. Like, there were so many white liberals that were all about Black Lives Matter, right? And that's awesome. It was wonderful while it was a thing. It was fantastic. Life was good. However, those people have largely jumped ship from that concern into the genocide, right? In Gaza, which is important. We need to talk about genocide. We need to talk about the people that need us, right? Back then it was Black people's house on fire. We got to got to put that fire out, and then we can move on. Okay, the house is still on fire, right? You guys left a burning house to go over here instead of being like, I have enough bandwidth to do both. I maybe should spend time, I don't know, looking at how these two situations are kind of the same.
What is
and
it that
linked.
set both of these houses on
and
fire?
there's like
Who's the
someone
asshole
has
causing
matches.
this problem?
Yeah, like that would be a much more intelligent way to spend time. Like I was in a conversation on Blue Sky with someone who had just who's in Iran, and they had just lost their home. And I was like, I'm so sorry that's what's happening to you. We're having a very good conversation that I guess she kind of read me as being confrontational, which I was like, oh no, I'm not saying that you're wrong. I was just suggesting another way in to view this one thing that they had posted, whatever. And one of their followers came in hot, like came in with surprising amount of heat and was so ugly to me, so nasty, immediately started to call me out of my name, swore at me. And I was like, you have BLM on your profile page. Like, you don't see that I am commiserating with these people internationally? Like, we're both POC. So, like, why are you, as a white liberal, coming into my conversation with another POC to yell at me and tell me that I'm treating them badly when they and I are having a conversation?
Yeah.
Right? So, like, that's when people are like that, I'm like, you need to take a minute and learn what's actually happening.
It's the biggest problem I have with the left in general is the way that we will cannibalize each other over the smaller things. There's a comedian, I can't remember his name, but he did a bit that was great about it. He goes, the people on the left will be like, oh, you all good for trans rights? And you'll be like, yeah, I love trans rights. Yeah, you know, oh cool, you're good with abortion. Yeah, give women the choice. Blah blah blah. Are you a vegan? No, I'm not a vegan. Well, fuck you for you're ruining the world.
How
blah blah
dare
blah.
you?
And then he goes, and then the people on the right, the people on the conservative side, are much more like, hey, do you hate the gays? Yeah, I fucking hate the gays. Do you hate the blacks? Yeah, fuck those blacks. Do you hate whatever? Like something else. He goes, do you hate? I think it's the gays that he ends on with his punchline. He goes, do you hate the gays? He goes, oh, I'm not too bad about the gays. He goes, oh, don't worry, we'll teach you. And then they're like inclusive and be like, come on in, we'll teach you how to hate everybody.
Yes.
Whereas the left is like, get out of my bubble. You're a fucking fascist, and you're the. And it's like, can we focus on what the problem is,
what the
namely
actual
the
problem
fucking
is?
Billionaire capitalists that don't pay taxes and try to deliberately use the media to turn us all on each other, to turn us against each other over the littlest things.
Especially because all of those people are fucking asleep at the wheel anyway. They're fucking just absolutely destroying their base, right? Like Elon Musk is like, fuck those liberal assholes, right? And I'm like, you make electric cars. Who
do you think's buying?
Who is buying all of those electric cars, sir?
Yeah.
Like, the other dudes on your team, they want fucking fossil fuels, bro. They're not trying to buy your electric car.
The best thing that happened is when the two presidents fell out with each other, and
honestly,
and then started having this big harassment, and then Elon's been like, I'm going to start a new political party. I'm like,
please do.
Because, yeah, please start a new political party.
Divide and conquer.
To see your side get divided by something for once.
Oh, that's all I want. And like, I feel like the more conversations that we open up and have amongst each other, and the more that people are able to regulate, because again, like, that embarrassment is very real. If you came to the show where that happened, it was a Pride stream, a charity stream for Pride of thirsty sword lesbians. So if you were a straight cis white man and you had watched that show, you would have seen someone who is unlike you deal with something that's very intimate and close to your heart, right? So like, I think that going through and having those moments and witnessing like the community, the sense of community that is actually there that you might not think is there because your circumstances are so different. I feel like that's where the magic happens. Even at my advertising agency, I love classic rock. There was a day that I pitched an idea for like Office Depot or some trash company that involved a song by Foreigner. And I got really excited to present it because everybody I'm talking to in the room is a white man over 45, 50 years old. Right. So I was like, they're going to love this idea. And we spent 20 minutes talking about why I know about Foreigner instead of the idea, instead of getting excited that I was talking about Foreigner, something that you like, instead of going, oh, I can see myself in this person. I'd like to mentor them. They seem interesting. No, too different. Too different, despite a core thing about me being something that you can.
You're not allowed in this thing of mine.
like mystified, right? Mystified. Meanwhile, there's like a white kid who loves basketball and only listens to hip hop, and they're like, I'm going to take you under my wing because at the end of the day, you're still white and you're still straight, and that's enough. And I'm like, okay, well, whatever you want. So I think like as different as people seem to be from you, always try to operate under the understanding that there is a common ground to be had. It doesn't matter who you are, what walk of life.
We always have more in common than we have differences.
Literally. And people just have to believe that. Like literally everything right now is trying to make us like trying to unravel that and trying to make us think that we're all so different. Incorrect. My partner's mom is an ex Pentecostal or maybe even current Pentecostal person. She's very religious, and she was on a plane and she was sitting next to a trans woman, and she is holy. This lady is the holiest of rollers, and like got off the plane and was like, I had a conversation with a trans woman today, and my partner's like, yeah, how'd that go? And she's like, well, I mean, she lives somewhere else, so we're not friends, but I think we could have been friends. And Jason's like, all right,
Okay.
good. And she's like, yeah, I mean, he's like, what'd you guys talk about? She's like, honestly, I thought we were going to talk about, the trans stuff. She sat next to me and I almost put my headphones on because I really didn't want to talk to her about all the trans stuff. It's all over the news and it's really a lot. And Jason's like, okay. And she's like, but, she was flying home because she just lost her husband. And they were together for like 25 years. And like their marriage was beautiful. She showed me their pictures. They were really in love. His name was Tom too, just like my Tom that I lost. And we talked about our husbands and how much we miss them and like, what are we going to do now that they're gone? And I was talking to her about what it's like to grieve as a widow. And she was just really open to hearing about my experiences. And then at the very end, I asked her what it was like to be a trans woman. And she was like, today it's a little bit better because you were nice. Like, I don't know. I don't know what to think. And Jason's like, I mean, you should vote with your heart. You should think about this experience and how you and this lady like had a connection today. That's beautiful.
It is remarkable, isn't it? Like I when I was maybe 16, 17, 18ish, I look back on myself and go, man, you were a real homophobe. And then I moved to New Zealand and I went to drama school and I met a guy that was like I was several months in maybe weeks or months into knowing him before I found out that he was gay, and I was like, you're not gay, was my actual reaction. And he goes, yeah, I am. And I was like, but you don't act gay. And he's like, how am I meant to act as a gay man? And it was like knowing somebody who became my best friend that made me go, oh shit, everything that I sort of grew up to believe about this other people, this other group is like, oh, that's not what it is, that's not how it is, that's not the human experience of being that. And within like months I'd 180'd and I was literally marching with him on Wellington at one point for some sort of, I can't even remember what it was now, it was something to do with gay rights and gay marriage probably, but I was like, it's remarkable how quickly a person can change. Even the most conservative people can change when they realize the human experience of what it's like to be that person that they hate.
Yeah. And, I think finding the humanity in each other.
Really just like the media going like, this is the person that you need to hate, this is what we're going to tell you about them, and this is how prevalent we're going to make it seem like it is in trans people in sports. Oh, we're going to make this seem like
end of the world,
this thing, rather than like 0.1% of a whatever.
Yeah. Finding that humanity matters so much. And like just to bring it back around to TTRPGs, I feel like there's an element of finding humanity that is in every story that you tell. Yeah. Like the whole process of make-believe, you're understanding and learning about someone else and their point of view through portraying them. So why not be open like that to people that you meet? Right? It's just as magical of an experience. Is everyone going to be nice to you? Absolutely not. You might meet some real shitheads out there because honestly, people are shitty. A lot of people are just really unhappy and they want to make everybody else unhappy too. But at the end of the day, it's better to have those experiences than to go without, because eventually you find yourself in need of support, regardless of the situation. And having people that understand what it's like to be you really matters. Like there's a lot of patience that I have for white, cis, straight male nonsense, because I watched the fuck out of some Mad Men, and I watched Don Draper fall apart and completely deconstruct himself, right? Yeah. And I was like, oh, so watching that show not only helped me understand like just white masculine presentation and the way it's kind of changed from the 50s to now, but it also gave me this ridiculous, unexpected edge of understanding my stepdad. Because the kids in Mad Men are my stepdad's age. Like, that's how old he is. So I'm looking at these kids growing up all fucked up and everything, and I'm like, man, no wonder he's such a jerk sometimes. Hey, you got to watch Mad Men. Tell me how that makes you feel. And so my dad watched Mad Men and was like, well, fuck. I was like, yeah. So maybe go easy on yourself. You had it
Yeah.
rough, gal. And
Yeah.
like for some people, they need that permission, right? They
Yeah.
need the permission to know that, yeah, I mean, you've got privilege as a cis straight white guy, and white supremacy is something that you actively benefit from, but it's not a choice that you're making,
No.
right? You're choosing.
And
You're not like, I'm gonna buy
it
in.
comes with all sorts of bullshit that can fuck a person up.
Yeah,
Like
it hurts
it comes
everybody.
with a lot of pressure to be a certain way when you are part
Yes.
of the ruling mass.
Yes.
And it's people talk about with mask stuff specifically, talk about it as toxic masculinity, but there's also the toxic white aspect as well, of just like the element of going like, I have this privilege, and so I have to make a certain thing of myself. There's like pressure to succeed because you have all of this privilege, and so you're expected. There's more expected of you to succeed in certain areas, or to whatever succeed looks like. But there's all these things that you can build up for yourself, and like, I'm not allowed to show this emotion, or I'm not allowed to act this way, or I'm not allowed to whatever, because I'm a straight white man. And there's almost sometimes a way of going, oh, those minorities have it easy because at least they can be themselves. At least they don't have this expectation of having to be a certain way because of this. And then I'm going to take that jealousy and I'm going to turn that into resentment towards them and act towards them in certain ways. Yeah. Anyway, we've gone almost 3 hours into what is normally a 2-hour conversation, and I'm sure we could go for another 2. I'm sure we could easily go for another several hours. So let's jump into the questions that people have asked for us in the chat, and then we'll wrap it up. So Centauri asks, I love that you see D&D as collaborative storytelling events. It feels like it's a very welcoming way to look. What's your go-to, shenanigans or high drama?
Ooh. I'm that bitch, man. I love high drama. I do. I really love high drama. For a long time, I didn't know that I loved high drama because, like, I was constantly in shitpost games that were silly. That I was like, I can do double finger guns, absolutely. But now that I've had a taste of high drama, like for me, dipping my toes into high drama with the Draxian and Lady Amaya storyline that I did with you, like, was so good. Like, it was so good. It was so tasty, and like I ate off of that for a while mentally, because it was so good. And like I never had to feel high drama is harder to get into in TTRPGs than shenanigans, because not everybody is emotionally available enough to go through that, right? So I imagine for you right now, going through like your autism diagnosis, right, and alexithymia and everything, I'm sure it's probably like, well, I can safely connect with emotions in some ways, but like regulating that consistently, I imagine, is probably the issue, because like the amount of emotional availability that you gave to me as a scene partner was huge, right? Like I felt like there were genuine connections, both like in the scene after like you've read the letter and we talked, as well as the finale, like tons of emotion. And it was very real and very visceral. And like when I got off of that call after the finale, I was wrecked. Like I was toast for like hours after that. Like it was a lot, but it was beautiful, right? And like I love being able to play out beautiful moments like that, because I feel like there are a lot of beautiful moments that happen in real life that we're so busy reacting that we can't even really process what's happening, right? Even if it's a death. Sometimes a death can be beautiful, right? Knowing that someone has lived a very long life and they're finally, gone home, or whatever your culture teaches you that death is, right? Like that can be really beautiful, but there's really little time to celebrate it because you've lost someone. But in a TTRPG, there's a different way to celebrate that life because it's not hitting personally. So I love high drama, but it's hard to get done because not everybody is capable of or wants to be that emotionally involved and invested in a game. It's easier to do shenanigans.
Which is one of the wonderful things about us getting paired together for those scenes in Castleton, was that I could tell right from the very beginning, like in the pre-conversations about like what we're okay with exploring, and like the consent discussions that you and I had around like when things started to become more romantic or have this like interesting relationship that the two characters had to sort of define for themselves. Was it romance? Was it friendship? Was it that he was wanting something that he didn't realize he was allowed to want, and so it was something else? Discovering those things, and we would talk out of character about like, is this okay? Those sorts of things. It became very quickly and clearly apparent to me that you were someone I could go there with, that you were
Yes.
a scene partner that was willing to be there and to explore these things and had the ability to do so as well. Because some people are willing but not able,
Right?
and are not able yet, and haven't developed those skills or don't have what it takes as an actor or whatever to understand how to separate yourself from your role and things.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So definitely high drama, but also shenanigans.
Hey, shenanigans have their place. Jay Platypus asks, when you DM, do you have your own world that you play in, or is there a setting that you like to use?
Good question. I am one of those GMs that's like not gonna turn down the challenge, unless you want me to GM some shit that's like mecha. Don't ask me for that. It's not going to be fun for you. I'm going to do a really bad job. I don't know nearly enough about mecha. Can't do it. But I really like the challenge. I prefer horror personally. If it's scary, I'm into it. Even the things that are not horrific that I GM, I still make a little bit scary sometimes because I cannot help myself. But I also really love high fantasy. I'd say those are probably my top two genres. But I love bouncing around in different systems. The thing that I think I've learned that I actually love GMing for, and it's so fucking weird and so fucking random, and I guess it's not that weird, but like Telltale Hearts is a collective channel that I'd mentioned before. That's who is going to be producing Lost in Reverie. And they have a BIPOC Star Wars Day now. There have been 2 years worth of it. There are a lot of white creators in the space that were like, we can't find POC to put in our shows. Whatever will we do? And POCers are like, we're here. Hi.
Hey.
I'm right here. I am here. So BIPOC Star Wars Day was like, okay, well, it's Star Wars Day. And we're going to gather a bunch of BIPOC people and tell some cool stories because Star Wars is not integrated enough. And when it is, people complain. So we'll just have we'll tell our own stories, right? So no one's mad. And it's been really fun. I've done the past 2 years. This year I was I was one of the headlining GMs, which felt pretty nice. Awesome. But I love running Star Wars games. I fucking love it, man, because it gives you the opportunity to just like think outside the canon and think outside the box. Right. And this year, I actually made a game. I wrote a game of my own making, which I've been doing more and more. I usually like running like a module because I can fuck with it, like especially if it's a one shot. I have the framework right there, and then I can just pick and choose what I include, and then I can sub other stuff in. But recently I've just been going off and just making it up, off the top of my mind, like just you know what, I want to tell a story about this thing, and then I'll write and then in the moment I find even more of the story at the table. But with Star Wars this year, so I'm a big Star Wars nerd, and I'm like, where are they going with this? Rise of Skywalker was absolute fucking garbage. Like, it was such trash. So like, where are we going with this now? Like, what could the next movie or show that it continues the story even be about? So I had a fan theory, and I was like, instead of writing fan fiction, what if we made it a TTRPG? So I ran an adventure for my table, which is like powerhouses. I've got Burrito. I've got Jay Justice, who's like an internationally renowned cosplayer and player. I've got Critical Bard, right? Omega, and then Jeremy from Three Black Halflings. Like I was very blessed. Burrito, fantastic. So just wonderful table of people that are just great. And I ran them through this scenario that I was like, this could be where Star Wars goes. Like, maybe this is what we could do after. Like, maybe this is, the next phase of development for Dave Filoni and his friends. I don't know. But it was really, 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 really good. And people liked it so much that they asked me if I was going to publish it or run it on Start Playing. And I was like, oh my God, really? You guys like it that much? I'll run it. I will. I'll run my Star Wars trash on fucking Start Playing. I promise. So now I've got to do that. But yeah, more and more I'm making shit up on my own. Like the Thirsty Sword Lesbians that I'm running later this month is called The Quest for the Holy Tale, and it is an Arthurian story that is kind of an inverse of an African folktale that I'm a big fan of called Mufara's Beautiful Daughters. So it's like a mashup of those two things all in one story. So I've been doing a lot of that recently, and I'm pretty hooked. I wrote a prophecy for Lost in Reverie, and I was so just chuffed and pleased with myself. So now I'm like, well, I got to just do that all the time. I got to just run my own shit all the time now, I guess.
You get something that's like, okay, well, this is me, I guess.
Yeah.
Me immediately.
Back on my bullshit.
Fancy Unicorn asks, have you run your brother a game, and was he impressed?
I tried to run my brother a game. I actually tried to run Dread for my family.
All right.
I'm true to my previous statement. I ran the module about the werewolf.
Mhm.
And my mom was confused the whole time. And my brother that DMs was like, "Oh, I guess Candy's pretty good." My brother has Asperger's, so he also has issues with alexithymia, and like he doesn't always like emote big,
Yeah.
unless he's like really pumped about something. So I got a, "Oh yeah, it's pretty good, Candy. It's not a bad game." And I was like, "Thanks, pal.
You're like,
Why don't you run a
I'll
game
take
for
that.
me?"
Yeah.
How about that?
That's funny.
Yeah.
Domokame says, Candace and Rob, what are your preferred game systems? I
Oh
mean,
my
for
goodness.
me, it has to be Dungeons and Dragons because I know it so well. I know for 5e like the back of my hand, I can pull out any of the obscure rules left and right, which is why AJ brought me on to be like the mechanics DM, the combat DM, because I just know how things interact.
Yeah.
And
I wish I
can
had that
tell-
control.
I can tell whatever stories I want to in D&D. I do love the there's a creator, Alison, a tired actor, that did like a bit of a viral thing of like the blocks, putting the blocks in the bucket for the kids game, and it's like, where does the square block go? It goes in the square hole. You know that one. You know, where does the triangle block go? It
In
goes
the
in the
square
square
hole.
hole. Yeah. And she's going, no. Well, somebody's taken that and they put over the top of it the overlay on the blocks that they're picking up, the various different types of story you want to tell, and each of the whole has a different system. And it's like, what do you want to tell? High fantasy stories. It goes in the Dungeons and Dragons hole. How do you want to tell eldritch horror stories? And there's Call of Cthulhu where it should be going, and it goes in the D&D hole. How do you tell high westerns and Wild West stories? And there's like a what's it, Through the Breach or something, and it goes in the D&D hole.
Yeah.
It's great.
That's how I feel about Savage World, so we're in the same boat.
You
The only
gotta
thing
run
I
me
really
Savage-
can't
you
do.
gotta run me a Savage Worlds one day, because I've not actually
Oh my
played.
god, I would love to. It is so much fun. AJ was actually, I ran for AJ at Gen Con last year. She did a fantastic fucking job.
Yeah.
It's one of those systems that's difficult to pick up if you are primarily a D&D player, because you have to use all of your dice except for the D20, really. So it's very like, what am I doing? But once you get it, it's like smooth sailing. I would love to run I would love to run Savage Worlds for you. But I would also like you to run D&D for me, because every D&D GM is a little bit different.
Yeah.
And I did not get into any fights, thankfully,
Yeah, you didn't
during
get into
Castleton.
fights, so
No.
you didn't get to see me
No.
combat DMing you.
No,
Yeah,
heavy on the lady in the Lady of Mine. We will start verbal fights, not physical ones.
There were quite a few people in Castleton that I was like, I don't see a way for them to get into a fight, but I'd love to, just because I want to play with them. I want to run a game. I want to run a fight for them.
Someone trash talk.
Yeah, somebody please just do something. When
slap somebody with a glove.
when Iffy came in as the god, and what's his name, Zach Speaks Giant was like bad mouthing him, and I was like, turn it into a fight. I want to be.
Yes.
I would love to GM a fight between Zach Speaks Giant and Iffy Wadaway. I was like, fuck yeah,
so
let's
good.
go. Even though the fight would be like, all right, turn 1, the god just smites you and you're dead.
Yeah, done.
Cool.
That was great, guys. Woo. That was excellent. Good session.
Keyboard Smashed asked, you mentioned that you like collecting toys. Do you have a favorite in your collection, or a favorite line that you like to collect?
Ooh, so favorite line. I don't really have a favorite line specifically that I like to collect, because it's really all about vibes to me. I had a joke for the longest time that I'm not a Funko Pop collector. I still say that. I've never purchased a Funko Pop for myself. People give them to me as gifts because it like is a nice way to show somebody that you know them by getting them a personalized kind of thing that they love. So like my mom, for example, is so fucking good at getting me Funko Pops. Like, she hands me the most ridiculous ones that you could possibly think of. That is my energy. I have like a Lydia Dietz one from Beetlejuice for no reason. I've got the Pan's Labyrinth one. Both of them, the Thin Man and Pan. So like I have a small collection of those that's not really a collection. But my number one favorite toy, I think, in my whole collection is this guy right here, my Donatello.
Nice.
So I was on Narrative Telephone, and Sam Regal was apparently Donatello on TMNT in a year that I did not have cable, so I did not watch it. But I love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I have loved them since I was a child. And my dad, so side note for anybody that's queer in the chat, this is heartwarming, so I will share it. My dad was very closeted. He was bisexual. I'm pan, so like father, like child, I guess. But my dad was very, very bisexual and very, very in the closet, and had very old-fashioned ideas of like gender roles and stuff. And my mom is much less so. My mom was a bodybuilder. She was a dancer. She was an athlete. She always has very short hair, muscles. Like my mom doesn't play by those rules. So I was raised very much in the way that my mom wanted me to be raised, right? Like, you should like whatever you want. Every day she would lay out clothes for me. I was free to pick. She'd put like a t-shirt and jeans, a dress, a skirt set, right? And be like, whatever you want. And, I was raised very neutral in that way. And my mom told my dad, like, hey, you're going shopping for the kid. The kid wants a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. And my dad's like, what the fuck is that? And my mom's like, the comic book. He's like, no, I know the comic book, but what are you talking about? What do you mean she wants that? And my mom's like, she wants a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. You need to purchase it because they're big right now. And that toy is very hot and it is going. So go get the fucking turtle. I didn't get it because you asked me to keep one thing that you could get her that was the coolest thing ever. And this is the thing you can get. Okay? You want the orange guy. Don't get any other guy than the orange guy. If you have to get someone else, get the red guy. Don't get the purple guy. And by Jesus Christ, do not get the blue guy. If you get the blue, it's gonna be you're gonna have hell to pay. All right, any color but blue. Don't get the blue guy. So my dad waits forever, of course, to get the toy because he's like, that's not what she wants. They don't want a fucking turtle. They want a Barbie of some kind that's fancy and expensive. Yeah. Surely that's what they want. And my mom's like, she'll never take it out of the box. Don't be stupid. Get her the fucking turtle. So he goes to the store and there's nothing but blue turtles. And he's like, oh God, this blue one must really fucking suck if it's just the blue one. So he's like asking the lady, do you have the orange guy? And she like laughed at him. She was like, sir, that was the first one to go. What are you saying? So he digs through all of the turtles. Paint it orange. He goes through all the turtles and he finds a purple one and he's like, all right, fine, and wraps it up. And I open it up on Christmas Day and I'm like, oh, Donatello. He's really smart. That's great. I love that for me, this smart guy turtle. Thanks. He hates pizza, I'm pretty sure, but it's cool. It's fine. I don't know. Okay. Like I was very like, so at 16, my dad passed away. And like it was very hard at the time, and like it's still hard. It's always hard when you lose somebody. And I think like I went away to college, like I graduated from high school, went to college, didn't have room for any of my shit on campus right at uni. So I want to say I was like 28 and I was moving into this apartment with my partner, and I was like, hey, do you have anything that you think I should want for my house, right? That I should put in my house? Like Jason has a toy design background, so there's a bunch of toys in our house that like they've made. Like if you are listening to this and you have anything Adventure Time, anything Sonic the Hedgehog, anything Plants vs Zombies, Minecraft, anything that is by a company called Jazzwares that was largely probably designed by my partner, Mortal Kombat. Yeah, so we have that shit all over the house because of course. And my mom was like, yeah, I've got a box of your stuff. So she hands me this first box because it's actually like 17 boxes of my stuff, but we're not going to talk about that. And in the box is a turtle. And like, I've long forgotten about this turtle, right? Like he's in the back of my mind. He lives in my mind as that one gift I got that one time, but it wasn't something I was actively thinking about. Yeah. And in the years since, I've watched a lot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles stuff. I've read a lot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff. One of my very close friends, Sophie Campbell, actually had a historic run. She's the first trans author to work on a major comic book platform. She did a huge run on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that only ended, I think, last year. She's awesome. She's so good. And so I got back into Turtles, and I was like, man, Mikey is great, but like, he's kind of a bum sometimes. Yeah. I'm like feeling Donatello, man. He's fucking great. Like he's smart. He loves books. He's got a bow staff. So he has the flexibility of being able to kill or just like knock somebody out. Like he could be a pacifist. Like what a fucking well-rounded guy. What a guy. And so like I open up the box.
You entered the Donatello phase of your life. Everybody goes
and now I have this baby who is an original turtle from the 90s that my dad bought me with the future vision that one day I would like a well-read and well-educated, eloquent turtle to be my boyfriend turtle, which is true. And now it's all about Donnie, and he's the sweetest baby in the world.
But still fuck Leonardo, right? That's
fuck him. What is his point? All he does is bum people out, okay? That's it. He's got a cool weapon that he doesn't do anything with because he's not about that life. Like, what are you going to do with him?
So the Viva guys got a collaboration offer reached out to them from the U2's people that make the big head dolls, kind of the Funko Pop-esque. And they normally just do like a run of 3 things. They only wanted the 3 main Viva guys, but they were like, we've got 4 people in the party. We can't have we can't have our D&D characters and not have all 4 of them. So they really pushed for the 4th person. But I didn't get one because I'm just the DM. And so it was the 4 characters that got them. And so a fan took a U2's doll and then created me my own. Yeah. Took a U2's doll, like took some off, put some clay on it, give me my little hoodie that I'm always wearing.
Oh my goodness!
Give me my little boots, give me my proper hairstyle with my ginger beard and everything.
Cute. Oh
give me my logo, and then the world that I'm holding, the planet, is my home world. So I've got a home world in D&D called Rin, and all of my own games outside of Viva, pretty much everything that I do that's not the Viva stuff is set in Rin. And it's actually the actual planet of it. So at some point, obviously in some stream, I obviously picked up like the map and was like, yeah, this is my world. And then took that, turned it into a globe, painted it up.
That's so beautiful.
He's wearing a green top hat because it's my Archfey character, the Merry Gentleman. It came on a base. It fell off with the base because of the glue, unfortunately. But it came on a base with all sorts of other like little in jokes and stuff as well. The dice.
Oh my gosh.
My own. In fact, I think it's here somewhere. My DM screen that's like custom made for the Viva la Dirt League guys, all of my D&D books.
Oh my god.
So I've got my own little U2's doll.
That's the best toy, man. That's great. That's the best toy.
It's pretty great. Yeah.
Oh, I love fans, man. Fans are great.
Fans are great. I've been sent a lot of stuff. Like most of my dragons either came from Wizards of the Coast or from fans. Like I'm a big mini collector, but I don't have them. I don't buy myself minis because I don't need to. Because fans send
people give them to you. Yeah,
I've got a PO box, and I'm like, hey, if you want to send me something, I'm a bit of a minimalist in every other aspect of my life. I don't own stuff. I'm not really a consumerist kind of a guy. But when it comes to minis, I can always have more. Because maybe I've got 12 different tiefling minis, but have I got one with a hood up and 2 daggers? No. Then I need another tiefling. Exactly. There's always another different type that you can have that's like, oh, let's explore.
Yeah, I totally feel that.
Joe Baby asks, who would be the 6 players from anyone in the world that you would pick to play at your dream table, and what system would you run for them?
Oh my god. Wait, I'm the GM?
You're the GM. Okay. You've got 6
Well, I'm already outclassed if I'm the GM. I would love to say Brennan Lee Mulligan, but I would be terrified to GM for Brennan Lee Mulligan. I'd be like, within the first 5 minutes, this person's going to see right through me, and I'm going to fall over and die.
Have you seen the latest Game Changer? Have you seen it?
No. So I saw the clip. From it. Yeah. I saw the clip. Yeah. And I went to the website, which is ridiculous.
Katie Mirovich running a D&D game for Brennan, Abria, and whoever. It's just like doing the worst job, and Brennan's losing his fucking mind, being like, what are we rolling for? What am I rolling? Yeah. You need to roll. So you're going first. You need to roll initiative. You just said he's going first. Why does he need to roll initiative?
Yeah, that would be me trying to GM. For Brennan Lee Mulligan, like very much, I'd be like, you can be a backseat DM driver. That's fine. Why not? You know what? How about you come up here?
Constantly checking
just in run what you
Am I doing
like.
Okay? Am I doing okay?
Is this what you like?
Is this okay?
No, you don't like it? Yeah, I don't know. 6 players that I would choose. Definitely Brennan Lee Mulligan. I feel like I'd want the halflings there, honestly, but that's like 3 slots. So instead,
like, you can all play one character.
Yeah,
just so I can maximize.
Jeremy is the one that I've played the most with, so I would not pick Jeremy just because I've already GM'd for Jeremy. I guess I'd pick Jasper. I feel like I've played the least with him because he had less availability when I was on the podcast, when I was doing the AP. I would definitely want, oh man. So Hector Montoya, Oscar Montoya. Hector Montoya is a person that I actually know. Oscar Montoya is awesome. I love him as an actor and as a performer, and he's on Tales Unrolled with Luis Carasso right now. Luis is an exceptional player. I got to play with him in a 2-shot for Daggerheart. That was awesome. I would definitely pick Oscar, because Oscar is so funny and he's so vibrant, but he also gets those like really soft moments as well. So that's 3. I think I would love to play with Anna Garcia from Dropout.
Right.
I don't think I've ever seen them actually play a TTRPG, but like their energy is so
Their energy
good,
is
and
so-
they're like she's so funny.
Seems to have just like a boundless energy. The type
Yes.
of energy that somehow comes from being a little pocket rocket, kind of. Like
Yes.
she seems like she's that kind of a person, just like the energy of a normal person that's been squished down into this form of
Yes.
being like, boing, like a coiled spring that's just
Yes.
like compressed and is always ready to just bam.
Yes, that is absolutely the vibe. I think
like
I
that
picked
would be
Celia
very
Rose Gooding. Star Trek Strange New Worlds just started up again, so I'm like back on my bullshit with Celia Rose. I love them so much. She did a great job on the most recent Exandria season as well, where Brennan was GMing. Really fantastic. And I'd like to just hear more from her because she's really an interesting person. And then I'd say Vico Ortiz. Vico Ortiz from Our Flag Means Death. I wouldn't get anything done because they are very, very good looking. I mean, that whole table is pretty slamming as far as looks. I'd probably be distracted the whole time. But regardless, I'm too pan. I'm too pan to GM 6 people.
Holy shit.
I'm too pan to GM 6 people at a table. Can't do it. And then Tawny Newsome. I would also pick Tawny Newsome. I saw Tawny Newsome on Harmon Quest, and then she was cast as Mariner in Star Trek Lower Decks. And her sense of humor is explosive and hilarious. Yeah, I mean, I would keep going, honestly. I would just make a bunch of tables. We're just all cool
like,
people, if I could.
We need 6. Let me roll for persuasion, see if I can get
Basically,
people at the
yeah.
table.
Just kidding. We're playing Blood on the Clock Tower. We have up to 15 people now. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. I think that was all the questions that we had from the chat. Let's just see if there's any more coming in here. Doma Kami has had a follow-up question to that last killer question. If you could GM LeVar Burton, or would you prefer him to GM you? Would you prefer to be GM'd or GM LeVar Burton?
I would rather GM LeVar Burton because this is going to sound very inappropriate. So I apologize in advance. But LeVar Burton was like a major figure for me growing up. Obviously as a Black person, but also as someone who is a very serious book obsessed individual. Bibliophile like doesn't even begin to cover it.
Reading.
Yeah, like reading Rainbow was everything, and kind of still is everything in my brain. So I would want to GM for LeVar Burton because I feel like he would give me like school teacher energy, where he would tell me I was doing a good job and he'd be so like nice about it and like really make me feel good about myself. So I think I'd want to GM LeVar Burton rather than having him GM me. Cause yeah, that I feel like he would give very good, like he'd have like the roll of stickers in his pocket and give me a gold star. Like I feel like he would just be really supportive in a way that maybe other people would not.
Well, speaking of reading rainbows, I think the librarian comes out of hiding and it says, "I haven't felt the lich in a few hours," and realizes that we're there eating a charcuterie board and says, "Is it safe to go?" And we realize, oh, we've finished our short rest. We've got our hit points back and our spell slots and whatever else comes back in a shot. And we got to start packing up our short rest and leaving because the library's going to start coming down now that the lich has been destroyed. We need to move on to our next quest. So, is there anything that you'd like to push? Any particular place that people should go to see more of your work?
Yeah. You guys can find me at the Candace Marie on Blue Sky and at Candace the Magnificent pretty much everywhere else. I will be starting up streaming again soon, both video games as well as music. So if you want to come by for like some low-key chill vibes of me just playing ukulele and singing at you, feel free. You can also hear me on 3 Black Halflings. I am actually an official co-host now. So yes, there are 4 halflings, but 3 at a time, usually, unless it's a special occasion or someone's birthday. Yeah, just check my socials. There's a lot of stuff happening. I'm in 2 different streams, one on Chaotic Wholesome on the 24th, one on Women of D&D on the 27th. And yeah, I'm in like a lot of audio dramas and podcasts and stuff. So check my socials out if you want to know more about me. Thank you for watching.
Excellent. And if you're here from Candace's community and it's your first time seeing me, I'm Robert Hartley GM on all of the platforms. roberthartleygm.com for all of the links. I'm most well known for being the DM for a comedy group called Viva the Dirt League, so if you haven't checked them out, please do so. We're coming up to the end of a 5-year campaign right now, and I am nervous as all hell because
Oh my
I've
God.
had to wrap up everything that I was setting up in episode 1 all
Holy
the way
shit.
through to
Oh
episode
my God.
250.
Oh my
Because
God.
they are 250 half-hour episodes, and it's a lot. There's a lot of things happening. We're in the final fight. They're level 17 and fighting essentially a Dark Lord god creature that I had custom made for me, and I've got this huge like Dwarven Forge build, and he's got like 3 different pages of stat blocks and stuff. It's a lot to balance, but that's what's currently going on with the Viva the Dirt League world. So if you haven't caught up with the campaign, go and do so.
Yeah.
Do you have anybody on Twitch that you would want to raid? Do you know anybody that's live right now? Because I can raid into them.
Good
I always like to give the option over to the guest in case.
Let's take a look. I'm sure I must know.
I'm not the best.
The first
DM
person that comes up
yes,
is you.
I am technically the best DM because I won Best Dungeon Master at the Crit Awards last year. So
You sure fucking did.
To show off my because here's talking of how good fans are. One of them made me an award. I mentioned on stream that the Crit Awards didn't have any physical award for me to hold as best DM, so a fan made me one.
Listen, that is some true devotion. Seriously, if you are out here and you're listening and you're like, man, I really want to tell somebody how I feel about them because I really admire their work, just do it. It's like drugs, man. It's like drugs for us. Like, it feels so good when someone's like, the stuff you did, I saw it and it mattered. Like, it's like, oh, it really gets you.
The very first time I got somebody reach out to me from just like some random place, it was a guy from Estonia that went to the effort of finding me on Messenger to like reach out and be like, hey man, I really love your work. And I was like, and he didn't want anything from me, he just wanted to reach out and tell me.
Yeah.
Like, this guy had to go to effort to track down how to contact me, and just so that he can tell me how much he really liked my DMing. And I was like, that's,
oh my God.
And that kind of goes back to the bit that I lost train of thought with the tech gremlins earlier, when I was like, what was I talking about? I was talking about how hard it is to know that you are actually above average, to know what the average level is. And because you grow, you get into this career watching like Brennan Lee Mulligan and Matt Mercer and stuff, and Abrir Rangan, and you're like, these are amazing people and this is the stories. And then if you're telling stories of a similar level, you're like, you know, this is average, this is what everybody's dealing with, right? And it takes a while for you to realize. It takes things like that of people reaching out from across the globe to like comment and say like, you're really good at this. Yeah. And it took quite a few years for me to get to a point where I was accepting of the fact that, oh, I am really good at what I do. Yeah. I've got something that's not just normal, not just average. Not everybody's D&D games are like mine.
It's so meaningful.
Which is great.
Honestly. You know what? It's so funny. A lot of the people that I literally just mentioned in this interview are all playing on Just the Humans channel in a charity stream. So if you'd like to know more about Connie Chong or Jeremy or any of those people that I just talked about, they're all on Just the Humans channel. And Jess is one of my favorite people in the space. They have actually right now, if you are big into charity streams, that's what Jess is doing right now with all those fine folks. But there's also a bundle that you can find, a little twine game that I wrote called Weird Little Guys about cats. If you do the No Ice in California bundle on itch.io with Just the Human, they consistently raise like hundreds of thousands of dollars for a charity. It's really impressive. They're a great community member. So if you want to raid them, I would love that.
Perfect. And then we shall start the raid. There we go. Just double checked that I spelled it right. Yeah, I did. Thank you very much for joining me, Candace. This was a wonderful talk. Hopefully I haven't made you an hour and a quarter late to whatever you were meant to be doing after this.
No, not at all.
I'm sure that we could have talked for another 2 hours easily.
Definitely.
Candace is genuinely one of my favourite scene partners to have done D&D with in the past. So if you haven't checked out Candace's stuff, please go and do so. We're going to wrap up our charcuterie board now and leave this library as it collapses around us. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for all the support. This is what I do for a living, so your bits and subs and donations here are literally how I pay my mortgage. So thank you very much for the support. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.
Bye.
Before you leave, make sure you're checking out my guest on all of the things. The links are in the description. And check out my stuff while you're there too. Thank you.